My mother-in-law has dementia, and her 3 children ignore her. Only my husband, the least favored, is willing to take her in. My husband wants to play the devoted son for outsiders, but he outsources the filial duty, dumping his mother on me. My husband goes to work, sipping tea and reading the paper. My daughter goes to school, full of youthful energy. Every day at home, I clean up feces smeared all over the house, enduring blows without fighting back and insults without retort, covered in injuries and illnesses, my spirit broken. Even so, my mother-in-law accuses me of secretly abusing her, and the neighbors all label me as the wicked daughter-in-law. My husband proves to his mother and siblings that the unfavored son is actually the most filial, moved by his own sacrifice, but I am mistakenly killed by my demented mother-in-law, electrocuted to death. Reborn. I return to the day my husband discusses his mother's care with his siblings. 1. You all know my situation. My child just had surgery, and my wife has to work while also taking care of the child. I really don't have the energy to look after mom anymore. My husband's second brother, Zhang Ren, was the first to speak up. The third brother, Zhang Yi, followed closely. Then I'm even less able to take care of mom. I'm divorced. I don't have a wife. My husband, Zhang Xiao, agreed sympathetically. I understand. I really do. It's not easy for you either. Exactly, big brother. Among the 4 of us siblings, you're the one doing the best, and you're the eldest. Only by entrusting mom to your care can we feel at ease. I cleared my throat. Since you still acknowledge your big brother, then I, as your sister-in-law, would like to say a few words too. Zhang Xiao shot me a glare and whispered reproachfully, why are you getting involved? Metal. Your home is also my home. If my home is going to have one more member, don't I have a say in it? Jiang Xian. What's gotten into you? Zhang Xiao jabbed my ribs hard. With his elbow I dodged, ignoring Zhang Xiao, and raised my voice. Zhang Ren, Zhang Yi, you seem to have gotten one thing wrong. Mom is your biological mother, so it should be your responsibility to take care of her. If you want to shirk it, find reasons from yourselves. Why drag your wives into it? Zhang Ren snorted coldly. What nonsense are you talking, sister-in-law? What's the point of marrying a wife if not to have children, serve her husband, and show filial piety to the elders? Zhang Ren, you also have a daughter. In the future, are you going to make your daughter work like a slave in her in-laws' house? Zhang Xiao slammed the table, asserting his authority as the eldest, and roared, Jiang Xian, when did you become so aggressive? Shut up now. Yeah, what's wrong with sister-in-law? You used to be known as a virtuous wife and mother, and I've always looked up to you as a role model. The fourth sister, Zhang Youxiong, rolled her eyes, not bothering to hide her contempt for me. It suddenly dawned on me, and I gently patted my forehead. I misspoke. Mom has Alzheimer's and can't even take care of herself. Given the differences between men and women, of course we can't expect a son to handle personal care. That's why the second and third brothers naturally entrusted this responsibility to their wives. Zhang Ren and Zhang Yi nodded vigorously. Exactly. I didn't want to say it so bluntly. Right, there's a difference between men and women. Things like bathing and wiping her down would be so awkward. Zhang Youxiong sensed something was wrong and looked fearful. I smiled. Fourth sister, you're the daughter. You're the most suitable to take care of mom. Don't just focus on being a virtuous wife and a good mother. Be a filial daughter first. How am I not filial? I want to take care of mom too, but I live with my in-laws. I have to take care of my parents-in-law. I can't just bring mom over. Can I? Big brother, you tell me, is that fair? Zhang Youxiong wiped her tears, muttering, besides, Dad said when he was alive that I'm a daughter, so don't count on me to provide for them in their old age. I didn't get a share of Dad's estate either. When there were benefits, I wasn't included. Now that there's trouble, you think of me. Zhang Xiao glared at me fiercely. Jiang Xian, you're the eldest sister-in-law. For shame. Even the fourth sister can manage to show filial piety to our parents-in-law. How come you can't do it? Of course I can do it. Filial piety is a traditional virtue, and supporting one's parents is a legal obligation. To be fair, let mom take turns living with each of the 4 children. We'll take turns caring for her. I have no problem with that. Were you deaf just now? They all have difficulties. Zhang Xiao gritted his teeth, pinched my leg hard, and lowered his voice. I'm the eldest. Save some face for me. Fine, they have difficulties. I understand. Then they can contribute money when it comes to filial piety. Those with money contribute money. Those with effort contribute effort. Each of you 3, give us 3,000 a month. Zhang Xiao immediately slammed the table and stood up. What? 3,000? The eldest sister-in-law is really asking for the moon. 3 people would be 9,000. Are you out of your mind for money? I looked it up online. Hiring the cheapest live-in caregiver for a disabled elderly person costs 12,000 a month. with 4 children, 3,000 each. You're already getting a bargain from our family, since we're providing the housing and taking the trouble to supervise the caregiver. The 4th sister didn't inherit anything from dad. If she can't come up with the 3,000, or can contribute less, that's fine, the total amount remains the same. You all can discuss how to split the proportions. Just as Zhang Xiao was about to speak, I cut him off promptly, raising my voice. Zhang Xiao, you always say that as the eldest, you need to set an example for them. That's why I agreed for us to provide housing for mom. What else are you dissatisfied with? Zhang Xiao was so angry he was panting and couldn't speak. He has high blood pressure and shouldn't get angry. In the past, I always considered his health, avoided arguments with him, and silently endured the losses. I thought that since we're family, and he's my husband whom only I would care for, there was no need to argue over every right and wrong or demand fairness in everything. Having lived through it again, I finally realized how terribly wrong I was before. As long as I'm willing to suffer losses, I'll have endless losses to suffer. That won't do. Anyway, I have no money. I already said, the child just had surgery. It's just a myopia surgery, I pointed out bluntly. It wasn't a life-saving operation, and no post-operative care is needed. Well, it's still surgery. It cost me tens of thousands. I don't have money either. I still have to pay child support to my ex-wife. I have even less money. I have to beg my in-laws for my monthly living expenses, I sneered, not contributing money or effort, yet acting entitled. Mom really spoiled you too for nothing all those years. Zhang Xiao glared at me, as if trying to pop his eyes out, before finally rolling them back and collapsing from his chair onto the floor. His high blood pressure flared up too. Mom, what's wrong with you? Dad isn't well. How dare you make him angry? My daughter Zhang Qian came home from school and immediately confronted me. As soon as she stepped through the door, I rolled my eyes at Zhang Xiao, who was lying on the sofa pretending to be weak, then gave Zhang Qian a cold look. The school doesn't allow phones, and you brought one again. Zhang Qian instinctively covered her school uniform pocket and glanced at Zhang Xiao. Needless to say, the phone was given to his daughter by Zhang Xiao. Needless to say, it was Zhang Xiao calling his daughter to complain again. He knows I care most about my daughter. The moment I show even a hint of resistance, he uses her to pressure me. Hey, don't dodge the main issue. Dad isn't well. Didn't you tell me not to upset him? Your dad wants to bring your grandma to live with us. You know what she's like now. Would you want to live with her? Of course, Zhang Qian didn't want to. In my previous life, my mother-in-law refused to sleep at night, insisting on using furniture as firewood. She grabbed a kitchen knife, shouting about chopping wood, disturbing our entire family and the neighbors. Her hand gripping the kitchen knife was like a clamp, impossible to pry open. Zhang Qian, using the excuse of having an exam the next day, made my husband and me stay in the same room with my mother-in-law, comforting her all night. Zhang Xiao said he had an early meeting tomorrow, and since my mother-in-law always listened to me, I was better at calming her down than she was that night. I didn't dare to blink, facing my knife-wielding mother-in-law with my heart in my throat. I had to keep coaxing her nonstop, trying to distract her attention. Only at dawn did she finally fall asleep, and I carefully took the kitchen knife from her hand as if defusing a bomb. While I spent that terrifying night on the brink of life and death, drenched in cold sweat and with lips cracked from talking, the father and daughter slept soundly. That's my own grandmother. I could never be so heartless as to turn my own grandmother away. Zhang Qian shook her head, deliberately saying things Zhang Xiao I wanted to hear in exchange for his pocket money. Fine, since you and your daughter are of one mind, I'll grant your wish. Zhang Xiao I sat up abruptly, as if his dizziness and headache had instantly vanished. You agree? I agree. I knew you'd agree. You've been tidying up the room since earlier. You want to give the master bedroom to mom, right? Since you've realized your mistake, I won't stay angry with you. As long as you treat mom well from now on. I couldn't be bothered to listen to Zhang Xiao I finish. I walked into the master bedroom, pulled out the suitcase I had just packed, and returned to the living room. I already said I'm not angry with you. You don't need to rush off to pick up mom right away. Besides, mom has her own suitcase. You don't need to bring one. I placed the divorce agreement I had printed out earlier on the coffee table. Zhang Xiao I want a divorce. 3. Zhang Xiao and Zhang Qian chased me all the way to the residential complex. In the crowded central square, they grabbed me from both sides and started shouting. On the surface, they were begging me to stay, not to abandon this family, saying they couldn't live without me, but in reality, they were trying to pressure me with public opinion. I recognized most of the neighbors who had gathered to watch. In my previous life, Alzheimer's disease amplified my mother-in-law's inherent dramatic nature, even though I took meticulous care of her, whenever I was busy with other things and slightly neglected her. She would either run away or open the window to scream for help. She vividly described to the neighbors how I, as a wicked daughter-in-law, abused her at home. I ran out to explain to the neighbors, even showing them the various bruises and scars on my body. Not to be outdone, my mother-in-law stripped herself completely naked to show even more scars on her body. All the scars on our two bodies were inflicted by her hands, yet the neighbors insisted that I couldn't bear the pain of caring for a sick elderly person and took my frustration out on her, claiming my injuries were caused by her acting in self-defense in my previous life. The neighbors pointed fingers at me. The younger generation spoke to me with sarcasm and veiled insults, deliberately causing trouble and bringing me bad luck. The older generation openly cursed me, as if I had abused not just my own mother-in-law, but them. Even children threw stones at me, calling me a bad woman. Now it's Zhang Zhao's turn to taste this treatment. Mom, can you really bear to abandon us? Jiang Xian, we were husband and wife once. Are you really going to divorce me just because I was filial to my own mother? People around started murmuring, and some began to speak up for Zhang Xiao. Zhang Xiao, I understand you want to be filial to your mother, but you can't stop me from being filial to mine. My mom just called me. She needs my care. I'm trying to learn from you and improve my thinking. How can I just ignore my own mother? Zhang Xiao was left speechless. I cried out to the neighbors, I don't want to get a divorce either, but Zhang Xiao is stopping me from being filial to my own mother and won't let me go. I have no choice. How can someone be like this? You're allowed to be filial to your mother, but you won't let your wife be filial to hers. Exactly, that's just unreasonable. While Zhang Xiao and his daughter were busy explaining to the people around, I seized the chance to grab my suitcase and leave. For on the third day of returning to my parents' home, I found a job near the house. After being a housewife for over a decade, I was content to land a job as a supermarket promoter. On my first day of work, I received a call from my daughter, Zhang Qian. Mom, Grandma has moved in. Congratulations, your 3 generations are finally reunited as a family. No, Mom, you know how Grandma is. Last night, I only slept for an hour, and I've been drowsy in class all day. If this continues, my grades are definitely going to drop. What about your dad? Isn't he taking care of Grandma? He tries, but he can't manage it. Tell your dad about how it's affecting your rest and grades, and let him figure out a solution. He's completely helpless. Mom, please come back. You're the only one who can handle Grandma. It's not that I'm the only one who can handle her. It's that you all think I'm the only one who can endure this torment, who can take it on and shield you from it. Zhang Qian, let me ask you, why? Why should I suffer this just because your dad wants to be the perfect, filial son? Because you're my dad's wife. I'm a wife, not a slave. You'll get married someday too. Would you be willing to take care of a mother-in-law like that in your husband's place? Zhang Qian fell silent, unsure if she was genuinely considering the question. I hung up the phone. 3 more days passed, and Zhang Qian called again, crying and complaining. Mom, Dad told me to wipe Grandma's poop. He said he's a man, so it's not convenient. What should I do? I smiled bitterly. If you want to wipe it, wipe it. If you don't want to, then don't. I won't wipe it. This house is already stinking to high heaven and is about to turn into a cesspool. Endure it. When your dad can't stand it anymore, he'll naturally go wipe it himself or hire a nanny. But if that happens, I'll be soaked in the smell. I'll get laughed at and bullied at school. In my past life, I dealt with my mother-in-law's urine and feces every day just to keep this house clean and maintain their father-daughter's respectable image in public. Figure it out yourself. I'll just tell you one thing. Once you wipe it once, there will be countless times waiting for you. Mom, I think I understand now why you didn't let Grandma live with us. My daughter finally showed a bit of conscience, and I feel somewhat relieved. It seems some experiences and a sense of conscience cannot be taught by people. Only life's events can teach them. 5. The 1-month cooling-off period has ended, but Zhang Xiao failed to show up as promised. I stood at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau and called him. Zhang Xiao, you're such a filial son. I'm too selfish and vicious for you. You should just divorce me cleanly and find a dutiful daughter-in-law who matches you. Jiang Xian. Zhang Zhao's side was filled with clattering noises, mixed with his mother's sharp screams. After a long pause, Zhang Xiao was finally able to speak. Stop being angry with me. Come back, and let's take care of Mom together. Trust me, I absolutely won't shirk my responsibilities. I don't believe a word of it. He said the same thing in his last life. If we miss today, we'll have to apply all over again. You must come today. I will never divorce you. I'm not going. Fine, then wait for the summons. You're suing me. On what grounds? The grounds that you don't want to take care of our elders with me. Do you really have the nerve? I'm not like you. I won't cling to pride and suffer for it. Only those who've never suffered think pride is everything. We'll see each other in court. Stop dreaming. Even if you sue, the court won't grant a divorce. That's fine. I can drag this out with you. After all, while we're dragging it out, I don't have to go back and suffer for you. 6. In the supermarket, my daughter came running towards me, crying. I asked my boss for leave and took my daughter to the changing room. Mom, Dad locks Grandma alone at home when he goes to work during the day. Grandma wrecks the house and even tore up all my textbooks. How am I supposed to go to school? Tell your dad to buy you new books and hire a nanny. He said a nanny would cost over $10,000, and he doesn't have the money. He even blamed me for bringing my textbooks home. Dad has become a completely different person. Grandma has changed too, hitting us at the slightest provocation. I just pushed Grandma once, and Dad called me an unfilial beast. Mom, I want to live with you. Can you come pick me up? I finally waited for my daughter to say those words. My mother-in-law is both a patient and a dangerous person. In my past life, she accidentally killed me. In this life, since I'm not there, that danger falls on the father and daughter to bear. Although my daughter was an ungrateful wretch in my past life, I also bear some responsibility. I was too tolerant and too weak. So naturally my daughter looked down on me, which is why she was brainwashed by Zhang Xiao. Given a second chance at life, I can not only change my own fate but also save my daughter. I'll come over after work. You pack your things first. Mom, I'll wait for you. You must come. A few elderly neighbors from upstairs and downstairs were gathered at the entrance of the building unit. Seeing me approach, they pulled me aside to gossip and complain. Jiang Xian, you're finally back. Do you know? Your Zhang Xiao is utterly unfilial. He beats his mother every night, and the old lady cries and wails in pain. That's right. He locks his mother at home. The old lady opened the window calling for help, saying she was going to jump. After that, Zhang Xiao didn't dare to lock the door anymore, and even asked us neighbors to help keep an eye on things. What a joke. What obligation do we have to do that? It's good that you're back. This home really needs a mistress. Come back. Your daughter cries every day and has become so thin. I went upstairs, and as soon as I opened the door, I thought I had walked into a dry toilet. The walls were covered in varying shades of shit yellow, and the rice and flour in the kitchen were spilled all over the floor, mixed with excrement. Zhang Qian had already tidied up and was eagerly waiting. Clearly, she had somewhat gotten used to the smell. As for me, it felt like a lifetime had passed. I was so overwhelmed by the stench that I put on 2 masks. Qian, come help quickly. Pull up your grandma's pants, Zhang Xiao shouted from the bedroom. I stood at the bedroom door, watching coldly as my mother-in-law flailed about like a fish on a chopping board. Zhang Xiao was completely focused on pulling up his mother-in-law's pants, paying no mind to the slaps ringing out on his body and face. He looked as if he had been completely drained. In contrast, his mother-in-law was glowing with vitality. Zhang Xiao, I'm here to take Qian away. I'm informing you that our daughter will live with me from now on. That's not acceptable. The agreement states that our daughter is to stay with me. Did you sign it? Zhang Xiao, left speechless, shouted at Zhang Qian. You unfilial daughter, what did I teach you before? As a child, you must be filial. You only dare to teach me and your daughter to be filial. Why don't you dare to teach your 3 younger siblings to be filial? You're just a bully who picks on the weak. Zhang Xiao was about to say something more when his mother-in-law suddenly raised her hand and slapped him with all her might. A shit yellow handprint was left on Zhang Xiao's face, and blood from his nose flowed into his mouth. The mother-in-law viciously continued to beat Zhang Xiao, muttering incessantly, You dog, what do you mean by stealing? That's your younger brother. As the older brother, you have to give way to him. Your brother is still young. If he hits you, you endure it. Next time you dare to fight back, I'll strangle you, you dog. For your second brother's wedding, you must contribute money. You're the eldest in the family. You can't shirk your responsibility. As for your third brother's job, hurry up and find someone to arrange it. You can't even handle such a small matter. We raised you for nothing. That's your sister. When her in-laws hit her, you just stand by and watch. Go and fight back for her. Even if you risk being detained today, you must stand up for your sister. Hearing these words, Zhang Xiao felt so wronged, like a child, and finally couldn't hold back his sobs, bursting into loud cries. Seeing Zhang Xiao cry, the mother-in-law became even more immersed in her role. As if her soul had traveled back decades, she casually grabbed a nearby clothes hanger and swiftly whipped Zhang Xiao's back, crying, You still have the face to cry. Hold it back. You're just a useless waste. We can't count on you for anything. Zhang Xiao endured for a full minute. The mother-in-law tirelessly kept hitting. Zhang Qian tugged at my sleeve and whispered, Aren't we going to save Dad? We can't save him unless he saves himself. Zhang Xiao finally erupted, snatching the clothes hanger and roaring, Mom, you're so biased. You're counting on me now. But none of them care about you. Only I do. The mother-in-law grabbed the feces from the bed and threw it at Zhang Zhao's head. How dare you talk back? You've rebelled. Mom, wake up. Look, it's only me. The one you look down on the most. The one you least expect. Who is now the only child who can tolerate you? They all despise you, don't you? Understand, the mother-in-law simply couldn't comprehend. Zhang Xiao, stop trying to prove anything anymore. She's already like this and will never realize she's wrong. It's time for you to wake up. If you still want to live a decent life, go find your younger siblings and have them contribute money to send mom to a nursing home. Zhang Xiao jolted up as if shot. That won't do. We can't send mom to a nursing home. Mom has 4 children. How could she go to a nursing home? I can't go ask them. They all have their own difficulties. I'm the eldest. I have to set an example. I'm stronger than all of them. I pulled Zhang Qian and walked out. Serves you right. 7. In my past life, I endured humiliation and hardship, thinking only of sacrificing myself to shoulder the heavy burdens of life for my husband and daughter. What I got in return was their ingratitude, their taking my efforts for granted, and their unwitting trampling of my dignity I had indirectly indulged my daughter into. Becoming an ungrateful person in this lifetime, I will first stand up on my own and live for myself, not only helping my daughter see the light but also earning her respect and understanding. Zhang Qian sincerely apologized to me on my birthday and engaged in self-reflection. We, mother and daughter, embraced and cried, letting go of past grievances. Mom, this weekend is Father's Day. After all, I am my dad's daughter, and I want to help him. My daughter is rational but not cold-hearted, and I am very satisfied with that. I understand. What do you plan to do? I want to try one last time to persuade my dad. If I succeed in convincing him, that would be best. If not, I will have fulfilled my duty as a daughter and can have a clear conscience. I stroked my daughter's head. Good girl. You've finally come to understand. I'll go with you. I also brought the divorce papers with me. If Zhang Xiaoshan could truly come to his senses, I could seize the chance to have him sign them and get a clean divorce. Mom, if Dad comes to his senses, could you give him another chance? Zhang Qian looked at me with hopeful anticipation, asking cautiously, every child wishes for their parents to be loving and their family to be whole. I understand that, of course, but the memories from my past life are still vivid in my mind. I can't do it, sweetheart. Mom is no longer willing to compromise herself for anyone's sake. Not even for you. 8. I didn't want to go back into that foul-smelling home, so I took Zhang Qian to Zhang Zhao's workplace. What? He resigned. In this economic climate, Zhang Zhao's job was practically an iron rice bowl. He quit. I couldn't believe it. Zhang Xiao had always valued his job above all else. Zhang Zhao's supervisor sighed and shook his head. There was no other way. He had to resign. Well, to be honest with you, we actually advised him to leave. Zhang Xiao had decent professional skills and had worked hard for over a decade before finally becoming a mid-level manager. A few days ago, my mother-in-law sneaked out of the house, took Zhang Zhao's business card, and was brought to his company by a kind-hearted person in the heat of summer. She felt too hot and, in full view of everyone at the company, took off the only outer garment she was wearing. A female colleague kindly offered her coat to cover her, but she actually grabbed the colleague's hair and called her a homewrecker. Zhang Xiao wished he could find a hole to crawl into. The leader gave him a good scolding, saying it must not happen again. Colleagues also advised him to quickly hire a nanny. Zhang Xiao cared about his reputation. Instead of admitting that his monthly salary couldn't cover a caregiver's wages for a disabled elderly person, he simply said he didn't trust outsiders to take care of his mother. Colleagues then suggested he ask his siblings to share the responsibility, or even pay them to look after their mother if necessary. Zhang Xiao put on airs, saying he was the most successful among them and, as the eldest, he had to take on the responsibility. Not 2 days later, the mother-in-law showed up at the door again. She was quite familiar with the place by now. This time, he brought a gift package of feces again. The company leaders, terrified at the thought of facing this scene repeatedly in the future, immediately persuaded Zhang Xiao to resign. As soon as Zhang Qian and I entered the neighborhood, we ran into the property manager who came to complain to me. The neighbors, unable to bear the stench, the disturbance, and the most terrifying violent tendencies of the mother-in-law any longer, had long ago gone to Zhang Xiao, telling him that if he didn't have the skill, he shouldn't have taken on the task, and to send his mother away immediately. Zhang Xiao lectured the neighbors on filial piety, willing to oppose the whole world to maintain his reputation as a devoted son, but no one believed he was truly filial. One neighbor put it this way: stop pretending. No one is that foolish. You must resent how your mother treated you poorly before, and under the guise of caring for her, you're actually abusing her. You're a pervert. Zhang Xiao couldn't stand anyone questioning his filial devotion, In a panic, he dragged his mother over to explain to everyone, yet the mother-in-law still took off her clothes to show her scars, vividly describing how she had been abused by Zhang Xiao. Amid the neighbors' accusations, Zhang Xiao was so angry that he had a relapse of his illness. "Oh, you're finally back. Go and talk some sense into that stubborn fool. He's let himself go too. His high blood pressure has flared up several times. Isn't this just suffering for the sake of pride?" Zhang Qian used her key to open the door but couldn't push it open. Upon closer inspection, I saw it was Zhang Zhao's body blocking the door. "Quick, call 129. After a night of emergency treatment, Zhang Xiao was finally out of danger and regained consciousness. "Dad, stop being so stubborn. I've already notified second uncle, third uncle, and auntie. They'll be here soon. You tell them, we'll all chip in to send grandma to a nursing home." Zhang Xiao acted as if he hadn't heard. When he saw me, he raised his hand, wanting to take mine. "Jiang Xian, please help me. For the sake of our marriage, can you really bear to see me like this?" Zhang Xiao truly looked haggard beyond recognition, but I felt not an ounce of pity because in my past life, I was also tormented into such a state, left with a body full of illnesses. Zhang Xiao simply pretended not to see it, offering me at most a single sentence, "You've worked hard." I stepped back, avoiding Zhang Zhao's hand. "If even your own siblings can be so heartless, why should I hold back?" "Zhang Xiao, the only person who still cares for you now is your daughter. You'd better not let her down." Zhang Xiao bit his lip, tears silently streaming down his face. "Oh, big brother. How did you let yourself get into such a state? You need to take care of your health. If you collapse, what will happen to mom?" "Second brother. What nonsense are you talking? Our big brother isn't so easily knocked down. He's the pillar of our family." "That's right, big brother. Get well soon. Don't make mom worry." "Sister-in-law, while big brother is in the hospital these few days, we're entrusting mom to you. Zhang Xiao and I have been separated for 3 months. I won't take on this heavy burden of your family." "What gives you the right to refuse?" Zhang Ren shouted. "You're all still alive. It's not my turn to take it on." Zhang Yi was provoked by me and raised his fist, ready to strike. Zhang Qian stepped in front of me. "Third uncle, if you dare hit my mom, I'll call the police and have you arrested." "Qian, how can you speak to your third uncle like that?" Zhang Xiao finally spoke up. "Dad, don't be foolish anymore. You're allowed to be filial to grandma, but I can't be filial to my own mom. Today, if anyone dares to bully my mom, I'll fight them to the death." My nose tingled with emotion, and I pulled Zhang Qian into my arms. "Dad, hurry up and tell second uncle, third uncle, and aunt, taking care of grandma is your shared responsibility. They can't just shirk it." Zhang Xiao struggled to open his mouth, but it was as if a switch had been installed there. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't get the words out. "If you won't say it, I'll say it for you." Zhang Qian recounted all the sacrifices Zhang Xiao had made over these past days. Zhang Ren frowned as he listened, then clicked his tongue. "Tsk tisk, they say husband and wife are birds of a feather, but when disaster strikes, each flies away." "Jiang Xian, you're truly heartless. It's not even a life or death test, just taking care of an elderly person, and you've already run off." I retorted. "Don't talk about husband and wife. You're all blood relatives, and it's your own mother you're supposed to be caring for. Didn't you all run off too?" Zhang Ren, at a loss for words, fell silent. Zhang Yi took over, continuing to shift the topic. "And you, Qian, isn't that your own father? You just abandoned him to live the good life with your mom. How unfilial." I turned to Zhang Yi. "If you're so filial, why don't you take mom home? You live alone, just like Zhang Xiao. Why can't you be as filial as Zhang Xiao and care for mom?" "Sister-in-law, you're sharp-tongued. We can't argue with you. But I know you have a sharp tongue but a soft heart. You definitely can't bear to see mom left uncared for." I looked at Sister Zhang Yu with pity. "You're all talk but no action, a soft-hearted pushover. As women, you must envy me. I have the courage and determination to refuse being treated like a beast of burden by my husband's family. It's sad enough to be exploited by men, but to speak up for the men who exploit you and believe you deserve it, that's utterly pathetic." "Enough." Zhang Xiao sat up angrily. "Jiang Xian, how dare you speak to my family like that?" "Dad, snap out of it. Mom is trying to help you. No need." "Qian, remember, being a person means you must uphold filial piety. Your parents gave you life and raised you, so you must repay them with your whole life. Filial piety isn't about comparison, it's about having a clear conscience. Your father has a clear conscience before heaven and earth, and that's enough." "Exactly, big brother really has vision. Big brother truly lives up to being the eldest. No wonder the person I admire most is big brother. Big brother, I wish you a speedy recovery. We'll be going now." "Don't go." Let's discuss taking care of grandma some more. Oh, Dad, say something. Seeing them about to leave, Zhang Xiao anxiously sat up. Wait a moment. The three of them turned back, looking at Zhang Xiao together, waiting for him to continue. Zhang Qian was full of anticipation. Dad, hurry up and tell us. Zhang Xiao's lips trembled. He struggled for a long time and finally spoke. Leave Mom to me. Don't worry. You all have it tough too. Take good care of yourselves. 10. Today is the day of the court hearing. To prevent Zhang Xiao from being absent or late, I specifically went to pick him up early in the morning. The property cleaner saw me return and kindly reminded me. I advise you to be careful. Your husband seems to be a bit perverted. What happened? A while back, your mother-in-law ran off again, streaking naked all the way until someone took her to the police station. She told the officers that her son was abusing her, describing it in such vivid, detailed terms, covered in bruises, with neighbors all testifying that your husband had been mistreating the elderly. The police arrested him. What about his mother? The police took her to the second son's place. It was only after his younger siblings and their spouses collectively testified, along with the old lady's medical records as evidence, that your husband was released. Who knows what kind of trauma he suffered there, but after he came back, when the old lady started wailing in the middle of the night, he'd join in. When people in the neighborhood cursed him for being unfilial and abusing the elderly, he'd slap himself and kneel before them. I sighed. Zhang Xiao had lost his wife and child, had no job, no friends or hobbies. His life consisted solely of a mother who created endless trouble and filth. Over time, it was inevitable he'd have a mental breakdown. In my past life, that's exactly how I ended up with depression, developing psychosomatic symptoms. Back then, I showed Zhang Xiao my diagnosis, hoping he'd share the burden with me, or that his three younger siblings would help shoulder it together. All I got in return was Zhang Xiao saying, "What depression? That's all a scam. The hospital just wants to rip you off. Don't take those pills, they'll turn you into an idiot." I snorted coldly. Truly, what goes around comes around. In my past life, I bore the karma that was rightfully his. Now, in this life, it's his turn. I knocked on the door for a long time, but no one answered, though there were clearly sounds coming from inside. I used the key to open the door. The room was even more horrifying than the last time I visited, completely transformed into a dry latrine, with particles of feces floating in the air. With such a biochemical weapon in front of me, I truly couldn't bring myself to step inside. Zhang Xiao sat on the floor, mindlessly gnawing on a steamed bun. Emaciated to skin and bones, at 40 years old, he looked like a cancer patient in his 60s. My mother-in-law sat at the kitchen door, playing with feces as if it were modeling clay, thoroughly enjoying herself. Zhang Xiao, clean up quickly, we need to go to court. Zhang Xiao barely lifted his eyelids. I have depression. Even if we go to court, they won't grant a divorce. Spouses have a duty to support each other. You can't just abandon me. I frowned. Zhang Xiao was living a life neither human nor ghost, yet he insisted on dragging me down with him. Depression? Didn't you say you don't believe in that stuff? Is the hospital just trying to scam you out of money? Jiang Xian, do you really want me dead that badly? Zhang Xiao, have you no conscience? I've been trying my best to help you see clearly. The ones who want you dead are your three siblings who've taken every advantage. Zhang Xiao muttered guiltily. Don't you dare speak about my brother and sisters like that. My mention of conscience seemed to strike a nerve in my mother-in-law. She stopped playing with the clay and got up to walk into the kitchen. Zhang Xiao, even now, you still refuse to share the responsibility with your brother and sisters. I'm the eldest. I have this responsibility. I'm the most filial. You're really crazy. The mother-in-law charged at Zhang Xiao with a hot water kettle, full of fury. You have no conscience, you beast, no conscience. A kettle of steaming hot water was poured over Zhang Xiao's head. Zhang Xiao screamed in agony. I shrieked, and the mother-in-law laughed heartily. 11. Fortunately, the water temperature was only 70 degrees, so Zhang Xiao is not in life-threatening danger, just disfigured, but given the old lady's condition, there's no telling what trouble she might cause in the future. We recommend sending her to a professional institution. Zhang Xiao's doctor was very responsible. Thank you, doctor. It's just that I can't persuade him. Could you talk to him? The doctor frowned, then nodded with a physician's compassion and entered the ward. A few minutes later, the doctor came out dejectedly. When will the patient's other relatives arrive? Let them try to persuade him. I smiled bitterly. They just called, said they're busy and won't be coming. Zhang Qian hurried over with her backpack. Mom, can I use my allowance to hire a caregiver for Dad? Zhang Qian is Zhang Zhao's biological daughter. I cannot and do not want to stop her from fulfilling her filial duties, lest she regret it. Later, within your means, of course you can. Mom isn't stopping you from being filial. I just don't want you to learn from your father and become obsessed with so-called filial piety. Mom, don't worry, I'll know how to handle things appropriately. By the way, remind Dad not to leave a hairdryer or electric razor in the bathroom, especially when filling the bathtub. It's best not to have these two items in the house at all. Sigh. Dad already threw away scissors, kitchen knives, and the like, but who would have thought hot water could also cause harm? Mom is really thoughtful. These two items are dangerous too. A single slip could lead to electrocution. I'll definitely emphasize this point to Dad. On the last day of my previous life, in a daze, I was filling the bathtub with water, preparing to wash the filth off my mother-in-law. The sound of running water masked my mother-in-law's footsteps. By the time I noticed her, she was already standing behind me, holding a turned-on hairdryer. I was already overwhelmed and busy, experiencing psychosomatic symptoms. In my panic, I stood up, only to slip and fall into the water-filled bathtub. My mother-in-law was amused by my predicament, clapping her hands and cheering as she dropped the hairdryer. The hairdryer fell into the bathtub. 12. I consulted a lawyer. In this situation, how can I get a divorce as soon as possible? The lawyer looked at the depression diagnosis Zhang Xiao sent me and said there wasn't much he could do. There's no domestic violence or infidelity, and Zhang Xiao is sick. The court definitely won't grant a divorce on the first try, and I might even end up having to provide support. Getting married is easy, but getting divorced is hard. Zhang Xiao is like a sticky plaster I can't shake off. I just hate that I was blind back then and misjudged the person. Marriage isn't just about choosing a husband for yourself. It's also about choosing a father for your child. Zhang Qian has an even harder time shaking off Zhang Xiao. This big trouble. She has an obligation to support her father. The lawyer said there's no way around it. If Zhang Xiao loses the ability to support himself in the future, and Zhang Qian is an adult with a job, then she must take on this support obligation. Don't even think about those three heartless ones contributing money or effort. Even with a second chance at life, I still couldn't completely change my daughter's fate, and that is my regret. Mom, it's Dad's birthday today. I want to go see him. Zhang Qian held a small cake, looking at me with hopeful eyes. Of course you can, I'll go with you. Once again, no one answered the door, so I used my key to open it. Even though it was nighttime, the house was pitch black and eerily quiet. Dad, Grandma, no one responded. By the moonlight filtering through the window, I found myself inexplicably glancing toward the bathroom. There seemed to be a person lying on the floor. I opened the electrical meter box by the door, and sure enough, the circuit breaker had tripped automatically. Over 10 minutes later, with the police officer's permission, I approached the bathroom to confirm the identity of the deceased. Lying in the bathtub was Zhang Xiao. Lying face down on the floor was my mother-in-law. Inside the evidence bag was a familiar hairdryer. Qian, did you remind your dad about the hairdryer? Of course. Zhang Qian also realized something and said through tears, I did tell him, but Dad just kept cursing me afterward, calling me a jinx and saying I must have wished for him and Grandma to be electrocuted. Looking back now, he didn't listen to my warning at all. I sighed. They brought it upon themselves. Who else is there to blame? Now I don't have to worry about divorce or lawsuits anymore. I'm a widow. At the funeral for Zhang Xiao and my mother-in-law, those three popped up again. Big Brother actually bought personal accident insurance, and the beneficiary is only Zhang Qian. That's not fair. We should be beneficiaries too. Exactly. If you and your daughter hadn't abandoned Big Brother and Mom, would they have died? You caused their tragic deaths, and you still have the nerve to claim the insurance money. Sister-in-law, doesn't your conscience hurt? I sneered. I won't. But you, if you ever grow a conscience, don't let it startle you in the dead of night, when thunder roars and rain pours. Better stay indoors. The end. That's all for the first story. Don't go away. The next one is even more thrilling. After being reborn, I immediately broke off my engagement with Lu Jingyuan. Because in my previous life, right after I became pregnant, he applied with his first love, Chen Yanyan, to be transferred to the Northwest. In the Northwest, they presented themselves as husband and wife to the outside world, going everywhere together, traveling across the land while I stayed in our hometown, having to serve his parents and take care of our child on my deathbed. He even resented me for falling ill and burdening him with my care. Even the son I raised single-handedly blamed me for holding him back. He went to celebrate Chen Yanyan's birthday. I was so angry that I spat out a mouthful of blood. My body twisted and writhed, then gradually calmed down and lost my breath unexpectedly. When I opened my eyes, I had returned to 1 month before marrying Lu Jingyuan. Mom, did you do this on purpose? You knew Aunt Chen's birthday is in a few days, yet you got sick right now, making me miss her birthday. I missed her birthday. My 35-year-old son, Lu Mingli, rushed back from the northwest to see me. Before I even saw him, I heard his complaining voice coming from the hospital corridor. The sound came from the hospital corridor. Furious, I got up from the bed. Before I could recover, my son Lu Mingli rushed to my side like an arrow, and my husband Lu Jingyuan followed leisurely behind, pulling his suitcase. The father and son were in cahoots, with the older one accusing me first. Song Shiman, how many times have I told you, don't always say you're on the verge of death every time, yet when we come back, you're more energetic than anyone. When will you grow up a bit and stop troubling us with everything? You always claim you're about to kick the bucket, but every time we return, you're perfectly fine. When will you ever learn to be more sensible and not bother us with every little thing? The younger one didn't want to be outdone and chimed in, exactly, Mom. Do you think Dad and I have nothing better to do in the Northwest? You always say you're critically ill, but every time we come back, aren't you just fine? You always claim to be at death's door. Yet each time we return, you're in perfectly good health. In the cramped hospital room, I stood pinned against the wall, feeling utterly insignificant. The father and son, whom I hadn't seen twice in a year, didn't even ask about my condition the moment they saw me. They just opened their mouths and launched into a vicious, relentless tirade against me, as if I weren't a human being. But some beast they had to come back from the Northwest to take care of. But I clearly have two identities. In the grand scheme, I am the factory director's wife. On a smaller scale, I am a child's mother. How could I possibly be a beast? I closed my eyes and said nothing. A tear fell silently, unseen by them, while my son started shrieking sarcastically, Dad, look at Mom. Every time we say something to her, she puts on this world-weary face, making it seem like we've done something terrible to her. If outsiders saw this, what would they think of us? Auntie Chen is cultured and knows how to consider the bigger picture. She would never act like this. I could no longer hold back, looking at Lu Mingli, who spoke like an emotionless machine, and then at Lu Jingyuan, who stood at the door unwilling to take a single step toward me. I said coldly, why don't you just tell me directly, you want Chen Yunyun to be your wife, and you'd rather have Chen Yunyun as your mother. Mom, why bother going around in such a big circle and saying a bunch of nonsense? Mom, Song Shiman. As soon as the words fell, the father and son immediately glared at me and spoke in unison. My saying this made them feel it was a blasphemy against Chen Yunyun. Immediately, a new round of scorn and curses was directed at me. I treated it all as if they were farting. I couldn't hear it, just like how they clearly have eyes. Yet they can't see my clothes full of patches, unable to cover my emaciated body no matter what. Can't you see my arm is broken, with a white bandage wrapped around my wrist? Every time I move, it feels like a sharp, bone-deep pain. No one is taking care of me in the hospital, so I have to look after myself. The food on the table is still leftovers from yesterday. When they finally tired of scolding me, I had gathered all my disappointment. I lay heavily on the bed, with no more light of hope in my eyes for their return. That light, actually, I should have thought of this earlier. Shouldn't I? Looking back on my life, it's been truly awful. Just 2 months into my pregnancy, Lu Jingyuan was transferred to the Northwest. I stayed in our hometown, having to serve my in-laws and take care of the child all by myself. After finally enduring until my in-laws passed away, I wanted to take the child to the Northwest to find Lu Jingyuan, only to discover that he had been with his ex-girlfriend there all along. They presented themselves as a married couple, appearing together everywhere. I made a scene. I broke down, but Lu Jingyuan never cut ties with her. Later, I came to understand, let him be with whomever he wants anyway. I have my son with me. I'll raise him well, he'll get married and have children, and I'll have my grandchildren playing happily at my knees. That would make this life worthwhile. But I never expected that after my son graduated from university, Lu Jingyuan took him to work in the Northwest, and he too ended up siding with his father. When my son came back on leave to visit me, all he talked about was how wonderful Chen Yunyun was, looking down on me in every way. Mom, could you please not dress like a beggar, wearing patched clothes all day? Aunt Chen always looks neat and clean. Your hands are filthy and disgusting. I don't want you serving me food. Could you be a bit more hygienic? Aunt Chen isn't like you, throwing bones around while eating. I never imagined that Chen Yunyun would have such a powerful influence. Not only did she steal my husband, but she's also trying to take my son away from me. In an instant, all my anger, resentment, and humiliation were laid bare and magnified infinitely. Touching on any of these feelings would plunge me into utter ruin, never to recover. But my son, just like his father, has never had a heart. The previous words were already painful and humiliating enough for me, yet he still had to stab me right in the heart. No wonder Dad didn't want to take you to the Northwest. You're so filthy. Taking you out would only bring Dad shame, unlike Auntie Chen, who Brings dad honor when she's out with him. I couldn't hold back any longer and had a huge fight with him. The next day, he left without even saying goodbye to me. I haven't been in contact with them for over 2 years. If it weren't for this surgery I need due to my illness, which requires their signature, I wouldn't have asked them to come back. I ignored them and coldly issued an order to leave. My surgery is the day after tomorrow. Sign the form for me, and then you can go. As soon as I finished speaking, Lu Jingyuan barely even processed what I said and immediately blurted out, "Can you stop making a scene? Nianyun is just my friend. You always talk about her like that. It could easily lead to misunderstandings." Suddenly, Lu Jingyuan's words cut off abruptly. He stared at my face with disbelief. "What did you just say? You're sick and need surgery. What kind of illness is that serious?" Now over 55, his well-defined features had shed their youthful freshness, gaining a mature and steady air. As the factory's general manager now, he exuded a natural authority even when standing there in silence. It seemed as though the years had left no trace on his face. Unlike me, worn down by my own constant toil, at just 50, I already looked like a 90-year-old crone. Lu Jingyuan quickly finished reading my medical records. His handsome, starry-eyed brows suddenly furrowed tightly, though it was hard to tell how much of that concern was genuine. Lu Jingyuan quickly reviewed my medical record. His sword-like eyebrows and star-like eyes suddenly furrowed, though one wonders how much of that frown was genuine. But I stopped caring about that a long time ago. My son took my medical record and looked at it, his previously aggressive demeanor softening as a flicker of concern for me appeared in his eyes. "Mom, what did the doctor say?" "I'm tired. I need to sleep." I turned on my side to lie down, tears silently streaming from the corner of my eye. The father and son stayed in the hospital room for quite a while, thinking I was asleep. They got up and started to leave, but before they had completely left the room, my son said to Lu Jingyuan, "Dad, since Mom has such a big problem with Auntie Chen, maybe we shouldn't tell her about my wedding plans." Lu Jingyuan immediately chimed in, "Of course, we never intended for her to attend your wedding in the first place." The son's voice suddenly dropped. "When Mom finds out I'm marrying Aunt Chen's daughter, will she cause trouble for us? Then don't let her know." What did you say?" I sprang up from the bed like a catapult, staring straight at them. "What did you just say? Whose daughter are you going to marry?" "You're going to marry Chen Nianyun's daughter, aren't you?" Lu Jingyuan was about to speak, but the son cut in first. "That's right. Next month is our wedding day, Dad, and I have already discussed it. The wedding will be held in the Northwest." At that time, I disagree. I shouted these words with almost all my strength. "I absolutely will not agree to you marrying the daughter of that mistress." My son was furious, his eyes bulging from their sockets. In his gaze was a coldness I had never seen before. "Mom, marriage freedom is promoted now. My affairs are not for you to decide. And, let me say it again, Aunt Chen and Dad's relationship is pure and innocent, a sincere friendship. They are not as despicable as you imagine. If I hear you say that again, I won't take care of you when you're old." Lu Jingyuan did not stop him from saying these words. Lu Jingyuan did not stop him from saying those words. Apparently, he thought so too. I was so angry that I couldn't catch my breath. And just like that, I spat out a mouthful of blood. My body twisted in agony as I writhed in pain on the bed. The father and son turned pale with fright and hurriedly called for doctors and nurses. But before they could arrive, I stopped breathing. They stood motionless like statues for a long time. I thought my death had awakened their conscience, making them feel guilty toward me. But their real concern was that with my death, their son's wedding would have to be postponed. What else are such a father and son if not beasts? I am unwilling, so unwilling. If there is a next life, I will never marry Lu Jingyuan and live this kind of life again, nor will I be so foolish as to silently endure grievances. Instead, I will take fierce revenge unexpectedly. Heaven heard my plea and allowed me to be reborn. Returning to 1 month before my marriage to Lu Jingyuan, I am sitting by the window, looking at my 20-year-old self in the mirror. My features are soft and full, my skin fair and rosy, and my lips naturally red without any makeup. It's not the kind of face that stuns at first glance, but it is the appearance praised by all the neighbors as the most blessed and fortunate. I was stunned for a moment before realizing that I had been reborn back to this day, May 9, 1980. At this moment, there is still 1 month left before my wedding to Lu Jingyuan. I dashed out of the courtyard like an arrow, went to the factory to find Director Xiao, and retrieved the marriage approval date submitted by Lu Jingyuan. "Lu Jingyuan just came to tell me that you two are getting married next month, and now you're here to take it back. What's the matter, Comrade Song? Is it that Comrade Lu hasn't passed your test yet?" Director Xiao was a bit puzzled, but still gave it to Me panting heavily, I caught my breath and made up an excuse. No, it's just that my grandma in the countryside thinks the chosen date is unlucky. She wants to look at it again. My parents were once veteran workers at the steel plant, but they passed away in an accident. The only family I have left is my grandma, who farms in the countryside. Director Xiao heard that it was her elderly mother who was dissatisfied with the date, so he didn't dare say much and just told me to go back and discuss it slowly with her before making a decision. After all, a girl getting married is a lifelong matter and cannot be taken lightly. I thanked Director Xiao, walked out of his office, tore up the report, and threw the pieces into the ditch. The shredded paper disappeared with the flowing water, and I went into the clinic across from the steel mill to find Aunt Zhang. Aunt Zhang, last time you mentioned taking me to the secret base next month to study medicine. I agree to it. Aunt Zhang had just finished preparing medicine for a patient, seeing me come in and say something so out of the blue. She was taken aback. She paused for a moment before realizing what I was referring to. Aunt Zhang was delighted, but quickly held back her excitement. But aren't you supposed to marry Comrade Lu next month? How can you still go? No, the engagement is off. Aunt Zhang was startled. What? I looked at Aunt Zhang, my gaze more resolute than ever before. Aunt Zhang, Lu Jingyuan is not a good man. I don't want him anymore. Seeing that I wasn't joking, Aunt Zhang nodded. If you don't want him, then you don't. You deserve someone better. I'll apply to take you with me later. I'll apply to take you with me. Only then did I breathe a sigh of relief. Aunt Zhang is my mother's best friend. She was so dedicated to studying medicine that she missed her chance to marry, so she simply never did. She treats me like her own daughter. Last time, I came to tell her that I was planning to marry Lu Jingyuan, but she said to me that the world is already harsh on women, and that I should at least learn a skill to rely on before getting married, so that in the future I would have enough confidence to handle the uncertainties of life. At that time, I didn't listen to her advice, and we parted on bad terms. I thought she didn't want to talk to me anymore. Unexpectedly, she wasn't angry with me and still kept that rare opportunity for me. I looked at Aunt Zhang, feeling immensely grateful. Aunt Zhang, I won't let you down. After leaving Aunt Zhang's clinic, I then went to work at my clerical position. This job was arranged for me by the factory after my parents passed away. The workload isn't heavy, and the pay is decent. But in my previous life, after marrying Lu Jingyuan, I became pregnant in less than 2 months. Lu Jingyuan, considering how hard I worked, suggested I quit my job and stay home to focus on preparing for childbirth. But just a few days later, he applied for a transfer to a factory in the northwest, leaving me, heavily pregnant, behind in the south. I was heavily pregnant, having to take care of myself as well as his parents. Given all the unreasonable demands and difficulties his parents put me through, it's a miracle I survived. Must be the ancestors watching over me from the afterlife. At 5 in the evening, I got off work and went home, using meat ration coupons. I bought a crucian carp, 2 pieces of tofu, a pork rib, and a bunch of leafy greens from the market, planning to make tofu fish soup and pepper salt ribs to nourish myself properly. As soon as I entered the compound, I ran into Lu Jingyuan's parents who were just heading out. I lowered my eyes and cursed under my breath. What awful luck. The leader, considering that Lu Jingyuan and I were engaged, arranged for us to live in the same compound but in separate houses, so that we could look out for each other. This also serves as a correspondence. But as soon as I moved in, Lu Jingyuan brought his parents from the countryside to live with us. Man, I get off work late and don't have time to take care of them. Since you finish work earlier, you can cook and just make an extra portion for them. They're not picky and are easy to get along with. However, from the first glance, I could tell they wouldn't be easy to get along with, and indeed, they weren't. When I came home from work, they didn't see me. They only saw the groceries in my hands. They'd be all smiles when there was meat, but if there wasn't any, they'd start making sarcastic remarks, saying I was mistreating them even before I was married into the family. And if I did marry in, wouldn't I just send them out begging for food? And they kept getting louder and louder, drawing everyone in the courtyard out to watch. In my past life, I was thin-skinned and felt they were Lu Jingyuan's parents, so I didn't say anything to them. Instead, I took out my own precious meat ration coupons that I couldn't bear to use myself, and bought meat for them to eat every day, and it really was just for them to eat. By the time I finished cooking all the dishes in the kitchen and came out, that plate of meat was completely gone. Not even a drop of sauce left. What's worse, after eating, they just got up and left, leaving the dishes and utensils for me to clean up. Back then, I was completely love-struck, still comforting myself with the thought that once I married Lu Jingyuan, I could send them back to the countryside. We'd only see them a few times a year at most, and that would be fine. But who could have imagined that the life I ended up living was worse than that of a beggar? Seeing them again now, my face darkened terribly, but before I could even speak, they were already staring fixedly at the groceries in my hands. Seeing there was fish and pork ribs, their eyes instantly lit up. Old Mrs. Lou reached out to take the groceries. Man, let me see what you bought. You've worked hard all day, why don't you let me do the cooking today, huh? As if I didn't know what she was up to. Whenever there's meat, she wants to stir fry. And once she starts cooking, she secretly eats more than half of it herself. In my previous life, after I gave birth to a son and was in confinement, a few close comrades caught some chickens for me to nourish my body. Every time she cooked for me, she and my father-in-law would finish all the meat, leaving me only half a bowl of soup and 2 chicken feet. If I ever said anything to her about it, she would immediately make a big scene, drawing the attention of all the neighbors. Later, I realized she had figured out that I was thin-skinned and wouldn't speak up, only silently endure it myself, so every time she would target my weak spot to bully me. If I cooked a little slower, she would scold me, saying I wanted to starve them to death. If I washed the clothes a bit slower, she would accuse me of being lazy and not wanting to work. Lu Jingyuan sent money back, demanding every penny be handed over to them. If I wanted to use even a single cent, it was harder than climbing to the sky. When the child throws a tantrum, they don't help me soothe the child. Instead, they yell at me for not knowing how to take care of kids. I often have to take care of the child while doing all sorts of household chores, and I'm always at their beck and call. I'm so exhausted that before I even turned 40, I've already developed a hunchback. Like an old woman in this life, I will never let them bully me again. I quickly stepped back 3 paces with the vegetables. No need to trouble you, old Mrs. Lu's expression changed, but she quickly said, fine, then hurry up and cook. Your father Lu and I are starving. When it's ready, call us. We'll go back to our room first. I coldly shattered her wishful thinking. I bought these groceries myself. When I cook later, there won't be any for you. If you want to eat, go buy your own. The 2 of them froze, taking a moment to process what I had just said. Immediately, Old Man Lu's face turned fierce as he glared at me. As usual, Old Lady Lu let out a sharp wail and launched into her signature performance. Oh, woe is me, this old woman's life is so bitter. My future daughter-in-law isn't even through the door yet, and she's already looking down on me. I'm afraid I won't have any good days ahead. Hearing the commotion, people in the courtyard immediately pushed open their windows to look our way. In my past life, whenever I encountered such a situation, I would shut my mouth and remain silent, letting her say whatever she wanted without arguing back. Soon, I gained a notorious reputation for mistreating my in-laws. Gradually, no one was willing to associate with me anymore, but this time, I raised my voice and fought back. Are you so eager for me to serve you? Have I already married your son, or are you so old and immobile that your hands and feet are broken, and you can't even cook a meal? Upon hearing this, the people in the courtyard realized it made sense. Demanding service from a future daughter-in-law before she's even married. Once she's married, won't they just lie in bed, expecting her to handle their every need? Besides, the meat ration coupons weren't even theirs in the first place. Where do they get the nerve to have the audacity to ask someone else to cook it and then call them over for them to eat? Everyone in the courtyard looked at Lu Jingyuan's parents with contempt, but they've always been thick-skinned and shameless, so they don't care about that. What they care about is that I don't intend to give them the groceries I bought today. This infuriated them to no end. The meat ration coupons you used to buy the meat were all given by my son. Why shouldn't I have a share? Hand over the meat to me, or I won't let this go. Old Mrs. Lu reached out to snatch the meat from me. I quickly dodged to the side, and she missed, falling to the ground. Ouch, that hurts so much. Old Mrs. Lu cried out in pain. Old woman, are you all right? Are you hurt? Old Man Lu quickly walked toward her. His hands, which were originally about to help her up, suddenly changed direction and came toward my vegetables, trying to snatch them from me. How utterly shameless. I immediately grabbed a bamboo strip nearby and slapped it hard against the back of his hand. Smack, a crisp sound rang out, leaving everyone stunned. None of them expected that someone who looked as gentle as me could be so fierce, actually hitting my future father-in-law. Old Man Lu clutched his swollen, painful hand, glaring at me with eyes wide with rage. He tried several times to come at me but retreated after seeing the bamboo strip in my hand, pushing Old Woman Lu forward instead to curse and yell at me. Old Lady Lu threatened me, saying, Song Shiman, I'm telling you, you have to cook this meal for us today, whether you want to or not, otherwise I'll have Jingyuan break off the engagement with you, and your reputation will be ruined. Let's see who would dare marry you then. No need to trouble yourself to call him. When he returns later, I'll personally break it off with him. Seeing that I wasn't joking, the 2 of them immediately felt a chill in their hearts. They racked their brains but couldn't figure out what had gone wrong with me, at which point, just 2 weeks ago, I would fulfill every request they made, treating them like deities to be worshipped. Now, whether what I said was true or not, they didn't dare provoke me anymore. After all, I'm easy to handle and have a good job. The kind of daughter-in-law you can't find even with a lantern, no matter how angry they are. They'll have to wait until I'm married into the family before they can properly deal with me. I saw through their schemes in my mind, then returned to my own room to cook. Just as I finished cooking the salt and pepper pork ribs and brought them to the table, Lu Jingyuan came back, drawn by the smell. At just 22 years old, due to his excellent performance at the factory, he was promoted from an ordinary worker to workshop foreman today, but he wasn't happy at the time. I thought he was simply dissatisfied with the promotion to this position and didn't think much more of it. I only found out later that his ex-girlfriend, Chen Yunyun, had returned with her child after her husband was killed. She even went to the factory to look for him. No one knows what Chen Yunyun said to Lu Jingyuan, but when Chen Yunyun left, someone saw Lu Jingyuan rushing like a madman to find Director Xiao, and heard a comrade say that Director Xiao had gone on a business trip. He quickly barged into his office and rummaged through everything, but couldn't find what he was looking for. In a fit of rage, he punched the wall. The next day, when I ran into this comrade on the road and he told me about it, I only thought that Lu Jingyuan was dissatisfied with the organization's arrangements for Chen Yunyun. After all, the man Chen Yunyun married was an officer, serving in the capital. No matter how the organization tried to arrange things for Chen Yunyun, there was no way they could place her in our poor, rundown city. However, I never expected that it was Chen Yunyun who actively chose to come back. As soon as Lu Jingyuan heard that she wanted to stay here long-term, he immediately gave up the idea of marrying me. In my previous life, before Director Xiao went on a business trip, he had already submitted the wedding date I proposed to the higher-ups for approval of the marriage leave. Lu Jingyuan came back empty-handed and kept giving me a sour, long face, as if I had forced him into marriage in this life. He still brought back the approved wedding leave date like he did in the previous life, and he still came back empty-handed, but I will make sure they all get what they want. After drawing water from the well and washing his face, Lu Jingyuan didn't go back to his own room but came to mine first. After we moved here, Lu Jingyuan would come to my place to eat dinner first before returning to his own room every day after work. I served the fish soup and tofu soup. Lu Jingyuan glanced at them with a dark, gloomy expression, didn't even wave at me, and went straight to the kitchen to come and get your rice. I glanced over and saw he only took his own bowl, not mine. I immediately cursed myself. In my past life, how blind must I have been to fall for someone so selfish, who loved to feed me empty promises. Lu Jingyuan brought over his rice and was about to eat when I slapped his chopsticks away, saying coldly, "Don't eat, this meal today isn't for you." Lu Jingyuan's face turned ashen. Before he could get angry, I cut straight to the point. "I've taken back the leave approval for the marriage application. We're not getting married." Lu Jingyuan suddenly looked up at me, his eyes brimming with unconcealable joy, as if confirming whether what I said was true, but soon he pretended to be deeply affectionate toward me and said, Man, what are you talking about? Is there something I haven't done well enough for you, toward me?" Not wanting to hear him continue, I quickly interrupted him. "We're not a good match. I've also promised Aunt Jean that I'll go with her to secretly study medicine next month. We won't be back for at least 5 years. I calmly finished speaking and went to get a bowl to serve rice, quickly picking up vegetables and meat to eat. After all, this was bought with my meat ration coupons. I'd rather not let anyone else benefit from it, especially not him. Lu Jingyuan remained frozen in his previous posture, as if unable to accept being abandoned by me, but the joy slowly spreading across his face had long since betrayed him. However, he truly is a scumbag through and through. Even after I had said all that, he still had the nerve to say, Man, 5 years isn't that long, I can wait. No, I don't think we're right for each other. It's better to end things early." Lu Jingyuan and I were introduced by a mutual friend. At the time, we both thought the other was pretty good, so we decided to give it a try. We were together for 2 years. He wasn't a difficult person to get along with. Sometimes, knowing I got off work late, he would cook and wait for me to come home so we could eat together. He would bring me an umbrella when it rained, buy me medicine when I was sick. On holidays, he would use meat ration coupons to make special dishes for me and even gave me clothes. I submit, over the 2 years we spent together, I genuinely fell in love with such a man. At that time, I thought he felt the same way. It was only later that I learned Chen Yunyun had married someone else, and for him, marrying anyone was the same. That's why, after our marriage, he treated me with constant disdain and impatience. However, for a fleeting moment, I truly wanted to say yes, tell him to wait for me, and then watch the joy on his face slowly crack, replaced by an ugly, twisted expression. But what I want to see even more is, this time, without me there to hold him back, if he and Chen Yunyun get together early on, just how happy they will truly be, too. What extent? Lu Jingyuan looked at me, wanting to say more, but his parents quickly approached us from inside the room, holding bowls and chopsticks. I hurriedly urged him to leave. You should go now. I need to find Aunt Zhang for something. Before his parents came in, I quickly cleared the dishes from the dining table and stored them in the cupboard. Then, under Lu Jingyuan's stunned gaze, I snatched the bowl and chopsticks from his hands and put them away as well, seeing him still not moving. I said impatiently, you and your parents wouldn't be so shameless as to snatch this little bit of food from me, would you? Lu Jingyuan looked at me with an expression as if he'd seen a ghost, completely unable to believe how quickly I had turned hostile. Even though we've broken up, you don't have to turn your back on me so completely, do you? I said coldly and heartlessly. It's very necessary. You and your hard-to-please parents should leave quickly. Don't bring bad luck into the house. Song Shimon, Lu Jingyuan stood up, his eyes wide with fury. Watch your words. What have my parents ever done to you? How could you say such things about two elderly people in my past life? Because I loved him. Whenever he called me by my full name like that, I would quickly lose my nerve and not dare to say another word. But in this life, I met his gaze without a trace of fear. Are you leaving or not? If you don't go now, I'll get the broom to chase you out. As soon as I finished speaking, Lu Jingyuan's parents had already reached the doorway. The old woman, Lu's mother, picked up the broom by the door and roared, ready to come at me. You bitch, how dare you talk to my son like that? I'll slap you across the face. The broom in her hand was raised high, about to land on me, when Lu Jingyuan suddenly reached out and grabbed it. He glanced at me, then pulled his parents and walked out. His mother was a real shrew. Seeing that she hadn't managed to hit me, she started spewing all sorts of nasty, offensive words. Her commotion irritated Lu Jingyuan, and he shouted at her, Mom, watch your language. If you keep running your mouth like this, I'll send you back to the countryside right away, and you won't be coming here again. In my past life, before Lu Jingyuan was transferred to the Northwest, when his mother gave me a hard time, he wouldn't say a single word to stop her. He would only tell me to bear with it for now, saying things would be fine once they went back to the countryside. Little did I know, as I kept enduring, I ended up pregnant, and he immediately applied for a transfer to the Northwest. I wanted to go with him, but he said the Northwest is bitterly cold and not as comfortable as home, especially since I'm pregnant now. If I couldn't adjust to the climate and environment, it would be really tough. You'd suffer a lot. Stay here for a while first, and I'll come back to pick you up later. But I waited 30 years, and he never kept his promise. In the end, I could only follow his parents back to the countryside to take care of the children. This was the first time old Mrs. Lu had seen Lu Jingyuan fly into such a rage, and she immediately didn't dare say anything. Only when she left, she glared at me viciously. I spat at her, making her face turn green with anger, and she started clawing and gesturing wildly at me. Lu Jingyuan pulled her away. Mom, starting today, I've broken off the engagement with her. She is no longer my fiancé. From now on, you don't need to go to her house and be a nuisance. The two were stunned and were about to say something when Lu Jingyuan told them he had been promoted. The two cheered. Son, what position have you been promoted to? Director. Oh my ancestors bless you, old Mrs. Lu looked at me haughtily and said without reservation, Son, this kind of woman who doesn't know what's good for her and doesn't respect her elders. I've disliked her for a long time. It's good that the engagement is off. Mom will find someone better for you later. Lu Jingyuan said nothing. As soon as they left, I quickly brought the food back out to eat. The salt and pepper pork ribs were so flavorful, and the fish soup was so fresh. Can't I eat well by myself? Why should I be nice to that heartless dog? The next day, the news of Lu Jingyuan and I breaking off our engagement spread throughout the compound. It was old Mrs. Lu who started the rumors, telling everyone I was disrespectful and malicious towards elders, and that such a wicked woman was not worthy of being her daughter-in-law. However, anyone with eyes could see that the problem lay with them, not with me. Seeing that old Mrs. Lu was getting more and more out of line, everyone in the compound couldn't help but retort to her. She had a shrewish mouth and argued with a group of people until her face was red, but she still couldn't win against them. She must have been driven mad by anger, as she actually started hitting them. Who lives in this compound and has a simple background? By the time Lu Jingyuan rushed back after hearing the news, the old Mrs. Lu had already scratched the faces of the two elderly aunts, drawing blood. When Lu Jingyuan recognized who these two elderly aunts were, He was so shocked he almost died on the spot. It must be said, the old Mrs. Lu really knew how to pick her targets. The sons of these two women held positions higher than Lu Jingyuan's. Lu Jingyuan took them to the hospital and, in front of them, groveled like a dog, begging them not to tell their sons. The two elderly aunts looked at him with disdain and, of course, didn't listen to him. Instead, they quickly called their sons to come over. The sons of the two elderly aunts arrived and saw their mothers beaten up like this. They immediately lost their tempers at Lu Jingyuan in the hospital. Lu Jingyuan lowered his head like a grandson, not daring to utter a single word. This incident had a significant impact, and Lu Jingyuan was directly demoted back to a regular employee in the past few years. It's unlikely he'll be promoted again. After returning from the hospital, Lu Jingyuan also cursed his parents like grandsons. However, his parents still didn't think they had done anything wrong, repeatedly claiming they did it for Lu Jingyuan. He said to push everything onto me so that his reputation wouldn't be tarnished. Lu Jingyuan found them unreasonable and wanted to send them back to the countryside. They refused and smashed all the pots and pans in the house. Lu Jingyuan was so angry that he slammed the door and left. For several days, Lu Jingyuan didn't come back. His parents were just two illiterate farmers who were used to being domineering in the village, and no one dared to provoke them. Now that they had come to the city, they still thought they could continue to be domineering as before, but Lu Jingyuan simply didn't go home. They panicked then, but didn't know where to find him. They had offended everyone in the entire compound. They wanted to ask them, but as soon as everyone saw them, they immediately shut their doors. If they dared to knock, they would directly call the police. They got scared then and thought of me. I was fiercer than other comrades. As long as they dared to show up at my door, I would immediately come out with a broom. If they dared to provoke me, I would directly hit them. Old man Lu, having witnessed my fierce beating of him, was scared and pulled old woman Lu away. Lu Jingyuan returned home half a month later, accompanied by Chen Yenyun and her 3-year-old daughter, Hui Hui. Perhaps it was due to Lu Jingyuan's absence. The two stubborn old people were scared. When Lu Jingyuan proposed to marry Chen Yenyun, they didn't dare to say anything more, but only I knew that they weren't afraid to say anything. They were just waiting for Chen Yenyun to move in before slowly dealing with her. However, with Lu Jingyuan on Chen Yenyun's side, his parents might not dare to act. These things were told to me by Aunt Lu from next door, who was the most vocal in defending me in the entire compound. That vixen is useless except for her large chest. I don't know what Comrade Lu sees in her. I smiled. Perhaps it's precisely this uselessness. Aunt Lu was taken aback, then continued to scold Chen Yenyun. Aunt Lu wouldn't listen to my explanation. She always believed that Chen Yenyun's interference caused my separation from Lu Jingyuan. Chen Yenyun brought her daughter to Lu Jingyuan's parents every day. She, who had never done manual labor, even cooked for them herself. We ran into each other while grocery shopping. I cursed my bad luck inwardly, but she approached me with ill intentions. In my past life, I would learn that Lu Jingyuan and she were referred to as husband and wife in the Northwest. She had secretly returned from the Northwest with a photo album to show off to me while Lu Jingyuan was on a business trip. That thick photo album, starting from the year Lu Jingyuan was transferred to the Northwest, documented his and Chen Yenyun's footsteps, covering almost all of it across the country. Every time I saw a photo of the two of them snuggling intimately, my heart felt like it was being stabbed an inch deeper with a knife. Finally, I saw Lu Jinyuan's inscription, "My love for this life." I was so angry that I spat out a mouthful of blood. Seeing that she had achieved her desired outcome, Chen Yenyun immediately put away the photos, cursed her bad luck, and left. I lay on the ground, dying like a chicken with its throat slit. If it weren't for Aunt Li next door seeing me, I would have frozen to death that deep winter night. Before my eyes, Chen Yenyun, wearing a 7-sleeved lotus pink dress, was even more alluring and beautiful than back then, and also more vicious. "I heard you broke off your engagement with Jingyuan, and that you were the one who initiated it. So it's not like my involvement caused your breakup. Please don't say things carelessly." Outside, ruining my and Jingyuan's reputation, I spat and cursed. "Lu Jingyuan is a toad with 2 legs. You can find plenty on the street. Just mentioning his name makes me feel unlucky. Only you treat him like a treasure. To me, he's not even worth a pile of shit." Coincidentally, just as I finished speaking, Lu Jingyuan returned. Seeing this, Chen Yenyun quickly pouted, her eyes reddening as she lunged at me. "You shut up. I won't allow you to speak about Jingyuan like that." As she was about to pounce on me, I quickly dodged, intending for her to fall flat on her face, but I didn't get my wish. Lu Jingyuan quickly pulled her into his arms, looking at me with a dark expression. Don't care what happened to his little darling. Instead, he squeezed out a few words through gritted teeth. "In your heart, I'm not even as good as a piece of shit." "Very good, Song Shiman, I'll wait and see. After I break off my engagement with you, I'll wait and see who else will fancy you, you venomous woman. I rolled my eyes. Even if I'm unbearable, I don't need to marry a used man and become a stepmother. Lu Jingyuan was so angry he wanted to lay hands on me. Aunt Lu came over at the right time and pulled me behind her. Did Man say anything wrong about you? If you were a good person, would you marry a used item and bring a burden with you? Could it be that there's something wrong with your body and you can't have children, so you're picking up someone else's leftovers? Fortunately, Man saw through you long ago and didn't enter your family's fiery pit. Otherwise, who knows how much you and your father and mother would have bullied her. Lu Jingyuan felt choked and wronged, but he didn't dare to offend Aunt Lu. He had no choice but to leave angrily with Chen Yanyan. I also quickly went out to find Director Xiao. Didn't Chen Yanyan say I ruined Lu Jingyuan's and her reputation? If not now, when? Director Xiao and I exaggerated their shamelessness, saying they were involved in illicit relationships before even breaking off their engagement with me. The social atmosphere at this time was the strictest. The next day, the factory authorities immediately sent people to visit Lu Jingyuan's home. As soon as they opened the door and entered their courtyard, the three comrades were stunned. Eyes, good heavens, they exclaimed, good heavens, at Lu Jingyuan's home. His parents took their daughter Chen Yanyan out to play. Lu Jingyuan was about to go to work. As he was leaving, he saw Chen Yanyan wearing a tight dress, cooking in the kitchen. He couldn't control himself. In the very heart of the kitchen, the two of them got intimate early in the morning. The three staff members turned green, didn't even enter the door, and turned around to leave. The two, still reluctant to part, were stunned for a moment when Lu Jingyuan remembered who these three people were. He hadn't even had time to get dressed properly before he took off running after them. However, no matter how he argued, it had been less than half a month since he broke off our engagement, and he had already slept with another woman. This fact was impossible to justify. No matter how you looked at it, the factory believed that Lu Jingyuan had serious character issues. They didn't even let him be a regular employee and directly assigned him to sweep the floor. When Lu Jingyuan's parents returned and found out about this, they were so angry that they slapped Chen Yanyan, cursed her as a vixen and a jinx, and then kicked her out. Chen Yanyan's assigned job hadn't started yet, and she didn't want to return to the dormitory arranged for her here. Lu Jingyuan had no choice but to pay out of his own pocket to rent a place for her. Lu Jingyuan's parents found out. Regardless of whether she was Lu Jingyuan's beloved or not, they each grabbed a broom and went to their house to beat her up. They were rough, and by the time Lu Jingyuan rushed over after hearing the news, Chen Yanyan was already lying on the ground, bruised and swollen. Seeing this, Lu Jingyuan, like a furious lion, berated his parents to no end and sent them back to the countryside that very night. He also declared that he would cut off all ties with them. Chen Yanyan and her daughter were taken back to the compound by Lu Jingyuan. After the incident where people from the factory came to investigate their home, Lu Jingyuan seemed to have given up. He directly moved in with Chen Yanyan without any betrothal gifts or a wedding ceremony. They lived together with the man working outside and the woman managing the household. The compound finally regained its usual tranquility. However, it wasn't long before the argument started again, and it almost led to a fatality. However, without his roots, a man is no different from being dead. The first time I saw Chen Yanyan, I could tell from her phoenix eyes that she was never one to be content with a quiet life. I didn't expect it to be true that day. While Lu Jingyuan was at work, she actually invited another man into the house. Before long, sounds of blushing and heartbeats emanated from within. Little vixen, do you think Lu Jingyuan treats you better? Or do I? Of course, it's you. Is that so? Isn't that the truth? Lu Jingyuan is so boring. If it weren't for the fact that he has some money, I would have kicked him to the curb long ago. Lu Jingyuan, who had gone out to work, returned midway to fetch some documents and overheard the conversation inside. He immediately flew into a rage, grabbed a cleaver from the kitchen, and stormed into the room. Terrified, the two of them rolled off the bed, still undressed. Chen Yanyan knew it was over and quickly shifted all the blame onto the man. Lu Jingyuan kicked her aside and immediately brought the cleaver down, severing the man's manhood. The man screamed and then passed out. Chen Yanyan was also trembling with fear. As Lu Jingyuan approached her with the cleaver, about to make a move, three people immediately burst in from outside. Several figures subdued him and took him back to the police station. He was arrested on suspicion of intentional assault, and the man involved with Chen Yanyan had significant connections. While Lu Jingyuan was awaiting trial, he sent people in daily to beat Lu Jingyuan severely. By the time the trial date arrived, Lu Jingyuan had been beaten to death before he could even stand on the witness stand. When Lu Jingyuan's parents learned the news and came, they were hunched over, their hair turned white overnight, completely devoid of spirit. Chen Yanyan felt she couldn't stay there any longer and returned with her daughter. However, They mysteriously disappeared on the train, and no one knew where they went. It wasn't until 3 years later, when her body was found by the border, that people realized she had been trafficked, and her daughter's whereabouts remain unknown to this day. Later on, I devoted myself to studying medicine with Aunt Zhang and no longer concerned myself with these matters. After all, I am now the director of a hospital, and I have too many things to do to bother with such trivialities. Hello everyone, welcome to Takata Novel Studio. Today, I'd like to share an interesting new story with you. On the last day of gymnastics team training, my childhood friend tied me to the horizontal bar for everyone to see for a whole day and night. I hung there like a monkey in the gym. Everyone laughed at my body, slapped my butt, and swung back and forth with unrestrained glee. Through gritted teeth, I asked him why. He smiled casually and said, "Oh, Xiaoyu said you're too arrogant, so she asked me to teach you a lesson. It's just a joke. Don't take it to heart, Xiaoyu." The gymnastics team's campus belle who always clung to my childhood friend. I fell silent for a long time. So it turns out my dignity can be trampled on as a joke by others without saying anything more. I just quit the gymnastics team and signed the major transfer application, but my childhood friend's expression darkened. "Didn't I say it was just a joke? You're quitting the team and transferring majors." "Yes." When I realized I was tied to the horizontal bar, my mind went completely blank. My hands were securely tied to the bar with athletic tape, my feet dangling in the air, my body spread-eagled and suspended like a giant X. What made it even more humiliating was that I was wearing a tight leotard, leaving every curve of my body exposed. Ha ha ha, Suwon's got a pretty perky butt, her waist's a bit thick, though. No wonder her moves haven't been up to par lately. Look at her struggling. Doesn't she remind you of a pig about to be slaughtered? My teammates' jeers rang out one after another, while the flash of cell phone cameras kept lighting up. I struggled with all my might to break free, but could only swing back and forth like a pendulum, drawing even louder laughter. Chen Nandu stood at the edge of the crowd, hands in his pockets, a faint, barely noticeable smile playing on his lips. Shin Xiaoyu took his arm and said coquettishly, "Nandu, look how interesting Suwon is. She's usually so aloof, but now she's being so down to earth." I stared fixedly at Chen Nandu, hoping he would put a stop to all this. After all, we grew up together as childhood sweethearts 12 whole years, from age 6 to 18, but he just shrugged. "Xiaoyu's right. Everyone's been training hard for so long. It's nice to lighten the mood with a joke. Suwon, don't take things so seriously." So seriously. 12 years of feeling, in his eyes, meant less than a new student's pout too. Taking it seriously. I was tied to a horizontal bar and humiliated in public, and he says I'm taking it seriously. What made me even more was that people started reaching out their hands. "Let me feel if it's really that fleshy," a male team member said with a grin as he reached out. I screamed in terror, "Don't touch me, Chen Nandu. Tell them to stop." Chen Nandu frowned and finally spoke, "All right. Don't go too far," but his tone was too light, as casual as if he were commenting on the nice weather. That male team member awkwardly withdrew his hand, but still muttered under his breath, "TCH, quit acting so pure." Shin Xiaoyu timely interjected, all right, that's enough. The coach will be here soon, and it'll be hard to explain." She walked over to me, stood on her tiptoes, and said in a voice only I could hear, "Don't blame me, Suwon, who told you to always monopolize Nandu. Today is just to teach you a lesson, so you know your place." I was trembling all over, not from fear, but from rage. So this wasn't some joke, but a carefully orchestrated humiliation. And Chen Nandu, the person I trusted most, turned out to be an accomplice. An accomplice. The word hit me like a knife, stabbing deep into my heart. 3. I lost track of time, maybe half an hour, maybe an hour. My wrists had gone numb, and my shoulders felt like they were tearing apart. Sweat dripped down my cheeks, and my gymnastics leotard, soaked through, clung to my skin, making it even more unbearable. Finally, Shin Xiaoyu had someone kindly let me down. I collapsed onto the ground, my legs too weak to stand. Just then, Chen Nandu walked over and reached out a hand to help me up. "All right, the game's over. I'll take you back to your dorm." I pushed his hand away and mustered all my strength to stand up. "No need." Chen Nandu was taken aback for a moment. "Suwon, are you angry? Isn't it just a joke? I told Xiaoyu to know her limits. She only tied you up for a little while. To him, it was just a moment, but to me, it was a humiliation that I could never erase for a lifetime. I looked at his handsome face and felt, for the first time, that it was so unfamiliar. "Chen Nandu, how long have we known each other?" 12 years. "So what?" he said dismissively. 12 years, and this is how you see me, a toy you can humiliate and amuse yourself with whenever you like. Chen Nandu frowned. "You're overthinking it. We're all teammates, just messing Around, just messing around, messing around. Again I laughed, laughing so hard I almost cried, just like that winter when he pushed me into a snowdrift and said he was just messing around, just like before last year's provincial competition, when he told others about my weak moves and said he was just messing around. In his heart, hurting me could always be casually dismissed with the words, just joking around. Back in the dormitory, I stood in front of the mirror and looked at the deep rope marks on my wrist. The skin had already been broken, and the oozing blood was stuck to the fibers of the sports bandage. The scenes from just now kept replaying in my mind like a movie, the jeers, the camera flashes, and Chen Nandu's indifference. I opened my phone and saw that the gymnastics team's group chat had already exploded. Countless photos of me tied to the horizontal bar were being wildly shared. There were front-facing shots, side angles, and even close-ups deliberately focusing on my buttocks. The captions were even more obscene. Today's Sao is on the shelf. The real body exposure of Suwon. Turns out our ice queen has such a figure. At Chen Nandu, your girlfriend's got a nice body. Mind if I have a go? My hands were trembling, yet I took screenshots of each image and saved them. Just then, Chen Nandu sent a message. Stop looking at the group chat. I'm having them delete it. Calm down first. We'll have a proper talk tomorrow. By the way, don't forget to train as usual tomorrow. The national competition is coming up soon. I stared at his profile picture for a long time. It was a photo of us together after winning the City Junior Gymnastics Championship, both of us smiling so brightly. Back then, Chen Nandu would fight for better training times for me with the coach. Back then, Chen Nandu would be the first to comfort me whenever I made a mistake. But now, everything has changed. I typed out a few words. Chen Nandu, we're done. He replied instantly, what's over? Don't be ridiculous. Still angry. I'll treat you to dinner tomorrow, your favorite Japanese food. I blocked him immediately. Then I deleted every photo of him from my phone one by one. From age 6 to 18, 12 whole years of memories. 05 That night, I didn't sleep a wink, not because of physical pain, but because of a belated realization. I remember many things. I remember when I was a child practicing gymnastics, he always said my movements weren't standard and that he needed to correct them. I remember in middle school, he said in front of everyone that I was uncool and didn't know how to dress. I remember after Shin Xiaoyu transferred to our school in high school, he said Xiaoyu had a great figure and was a natural for gymnastics, so his disdain had long shown signs. I was just deceiving myself all along. In the afternoon, I forced myself to go to the academic affairs office. The deadline for the major transfer application is today. Actually, I've had the materials ready for a long time. I just kept hesitating. After 12 years of gymnastics training, giving up is easier said than done. But after what happened last night, I suddenly saw things clearly. Here, I will always be just an accessory to Chen Nandu. When people mention me, their first reaction is always Chen Nandu's childhood sweetheart, and now, it will probably become the joke tied to the horizontal bar. When the teacher at the academic affairs office saw my application, she was very surprised. Suwon, are you sure you want to switch from gymnastics to dance? I'm sure, but your performance on the gymnastics team has always been excellent, so why the sudden decision to switch? The national championships are about to start. If you change your major now, won't all your previous efforts have been for nothing? I was silent for a moment. Personal reasons. The teacher tried a few more times to persuade me, but seeing my firm attitude, he finally stamped the application form. Walking out of the academic affairs office, I let out a long sigh of relief. Finally, I was about to start a new chapter in life. That evening, Chen Nandu came to find me. He blocked my way downstairs at the dorm, his expression grim. Are you really going to switch your major? What's it to you? What do you mean, what's it to me? He said, getting agitated. We agreed to make the national team together, and now you're just switching out of nowhere. I sneered. The national team? You really think someone with my build can make the national team? Chen Nandu was left speechless. Suwon, don't be like this. I'm sorry about last night. I was wrong. But you don't need to change your major out of spite. Do you even know what that means? It means 12 years of gymnastics training, completely down the drain. Of course I knew. It means 12 years of hard work down the drain, starting over from scratch. But so what? It's better than staying here and being treated like a fool any longer. Chen Nandu. I looked at him. Do you know how long it took you guys to finally let me down last night? He avoided my gaze. 3 hours, I said. 3 whole hours. Security came twice, but Shin Xiaoyu sent them away both times, saying it was flexibility training. A freshman girl wanted to help me, but your teammate pushed her away. Do you know what it feels like to hang there for 3 hours? 06 I pushed him away and tried to leave, but he grabbed my wrist. His grip landed exactly on the rope burns from last night. The pain made me suck in a sharp breath. Only then did Chen Nandu notice the shocking marks. His face changed drastically. How did you get so hurt? Thanks to you. His hands were trembling. I really didn't know it would turn out like this. Of course you don't know, I said, shaking off his hand. You were too busy making out with Shin Xiaoyu in the equipment room to know that I was hanging in the gymnasium for 3 hours all by myself. Do you know how many people stopped to watch and take pictures? Do you know what they said? Do you know that I even held in going to the bathroom for 3 hours, just like that? I couldn't go on. That feeling of humiliation washed over me again. Chen Nandu turned pale. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was just thinking that Xiaoyu said she'd never seen this kind of punishment before, and I wanted to see. I thought you'd only hang there for a little while, we'd take a photo, and then let you down. Enough, I cut him off. Chen Nandu, we've known each other for 12 years. When we were kids, you said you would protect me and stand with me on the highest podium, and now, just to please Shin Xiaoyu, you can treat me like a toy. I see clearly now. In your heart, I will never be as good as her. So let's stop here. Chen Nandu panicked. That's not true, Suwan, let me explain. There's really nothing between me and Xiaoyu. She's just a junior sister on the team. I was confused for a moment yesterday. I promise it won't happen again. I laughed. Junior, the one who tied her senior to the horizontal bar for 3 hours. Chen Nandu, how much longer are you going to lie to yourself? You've liked her for a long time, haven't you? From the very first day she transferred here. That's why you let her bully me, why you turned my dignity into a tool to please her. 07 Chen Nandu wanted to defend himself, but in the end, he couldn't say a word, because we both knew it was the truth. I gave him one last look. I wish you and Shin Xiaoyu a lifetime of happiness together. Remember to delete all the photos in the group chat, or I'll contact a lawyer. As I turned to leave, I heard Chen Nandu growl from behind me. Suwan, you're going to regret this. Without me, you're nothing. I stopped and looked back at him. You're right. Without you, I'm nothing. So I'm going to find out, without you, what I can actually become. News of the major change soon spread throughout the gymnastics team. Everyone was speculating about the reason. Some said she couldn't handle the training intensity, others said her performance was declining. Only a few people know the truth, but they have chosen to remain silent. The last time I went to the gymnastics gym to pack my things, I ran into my teammate Lin Wei. She was the only one who hadn't laughed at me last night. Wan, are you really leaving? I nodded. She hesitated, as if wanting to say more, but finally said, actually, everyone saw what happened yesterday. Shin Xiaoyu went too far, but she's the coach's favorite, and with Chen Nandu protecting her, no one dares to offend her. I see, so everyone knew she was bullying me, but they just chose to stand by and do nothing. Lin Wei lowered her head guiltily and said, I'm sorry, I should have helped you, but you know, in this circle, crossing Shin Xiaoyu is like crossing half the gymnastics team. It's okay. I patted her shoulder and said, take care. As I packed my things and prepared to leave, Shin Xiaoyu appeared leaning against the doorframe. She gave a half smile and said, oh my, Suwan, leaving so soon, what a shame, we haven't had our fill of fun yet. I walked straight out without even glancing at her. She unwillingly chased after me. Suwan, do you really think switching majors can get rid of me? How naive. As long as Nandu is here, you'll always be the loser to me. You know what, last night, Nandu held me in his arms and said I'm much more feminine than you. He also said he's been sick of you for a long time, and if it weren't for the fact that we grew up together, he would have dumped you ages ago. I stopped and turned to look at her. For the first time, I really took a good look at this woman who had turned my life upside down. Petite figure, delicate features, an affected expression. Shin Xiaoyu, did you know? I said calmly, you're pathetic. She was stunned. You think taking Chen Nandu away is a victory? You think humiliating me proves you're superior? The truth is, you're nothing. Just a parasite who got on the team through connections and survives off men. Without your background, without Chen Nandu, you're not even worthy of tying my shoes. As for me, I'm going to pursue a life that truly belongs to me. You just stay here in this 1 square meter gym, living off handouts from men. I wish you and Chen Nandu a lifetime of happiness together. With that, I left the gymnastics hall without looking back. Behind me came Shin Xiaoyu's hysterical screams, but they no longer had anything to do with me. 8. Life in the dance department was harder than I had imagined. Despite my background in gymnastics, the way force is applied in the two disciplines is completely different. Gymnastics pursues explosive power and control, whereas dance requires fluidity and grace. In the very first class, the teacher bluntly pointed out, Suwan, your movements are too stiff. Dance is not gymnastics. Don't make every move so textbook perfect. Relax, you need to learn to relax, also. Tone down those muscles, dancers need lines, not bulky muscles. But 12 years of muscle memory isn't so easy to change. Even harder was the rejection from classmates. Most dance majors had been training since childhood, and they were full of hostility toward me, a transfer student who started late. I heard she transferred from the gymnastics team, someone from gymnastics learning to dance. That's a joke. She must not have been able to make it there. I heard she was bullied, and she hung from the horizontal bar all night. Really, that's explosive. Absolutely true. My cousin is on the gymnastics team. He said her boyfriend dumped her for a new flame, and then I gritted my teeth and kept going. I was the first to arrive at the dance studio every day and the last to leave. I pushed every move to its limit and perfected every detail. My hands were blistered and raw from friction, and my feet were covered in bruises. My knees were so swollen from hours of practice that they looked like steamed buns, but I don't care compared to the humiliation of being watched while hanging from a horizontal bar. What is this suffering? A month later, I received a message from Chen Nandu. It was a new number. Are you doing okay? I heard the dance department's training is very tough. How are your knees? I've already driven Xiaoyu away. Can we start over? I didn't reply. He sent another message. The braised pork in the cafeteria today is especially delicious. It reminded me that this is your favorite. The gymnastics team is preparing for the national competition, but without you, no one has much fighting spirit. The coach asked when you're coming back and said all past mistakes will be forgiven. Shin Xiaoyu was expelled for framing a teammate with doping. Su Wan, can you at least say something back to me, even if it's just to curse me out? Reading these messages, I felt nothing at all. Shin Xiaoyu was expelled. What does that have to do with me? Does Chen Nanfu regret it? It has nothing to do with me. I have already embarked on a new path and will not turn back. Then I blocked this number 29 time flies. And soon it was the end of the semester. The dance department has a tradition of holding a performance showcase at the end of each semester. As a transfer student, I was not originally eligible to participate, but my teacher, Mr. Wang, overruled the objections and gave me a solo opportunity. Su Wan has improved remarkably over the past few months. She deserves this chance. Moreover, she has a unique tension in her presence that the other students lack. So I began rehearsing day and night. The chosen piece was Breaking Out of the Cocoon. It is an extremely challenging modern dance that demands a vivid portrayal of the contrast between confinement and freedom. Mr. Wang said, you need to infuse your own experiences into the performance, the pain of being bound, and the release after breaking free. Both must be expressed through your body. Remember, dance is a language, and you speak with your body. I understand. Isn't that me right now? Once confined by the framework of gymnastics, trapped by so-called emotions, now, I will break free from my cocoon and become a butterfly. On the day of the performance, I unexpectedly saw a familiar face in the audience. Chen Nandu had come. There were also some members of the gymnastics team. I took a deep breath and refused to let them affect my mood. The music began. I transformed into the butterfly trapped inside its cocoon, making my final struggles on stage. Every twist, every struggle, was a farewell to the past. When I finally broke free from the cocoon and spread my wings, the entire audience fell silent. Then came thunderous applause. As I stood up to bow, I saw Chen Nandu's eyes turn red, and sitting right next to him was Shin Xiaoyu. Wasn't she fired? After the performance, Chen Nandu waited for me backstage. Su Wan, his voice was a little choked. Your dance was beautiful. I never knew you could be this beautiful. I gave him a faint glance. Thank you. Beside me, Shin Xiaoyu bit her lip, looking utterly unwilling to accept it. I want to talk to you, Chen Nandu said. There's nothing to talk about. I turned to leave, and in his panic, he tried to grab me again. This time I dodged, not letting him touch my wrist. Though the scar there had faded, the memory remained. Su Wan, listen to me, he said urgently. I really regret what happened that day. I've already made it clear to Xiaoyu, there's no chance for us. See, I brought her here today because I wanted to explain it to you face to face. Shin Xiaoyu tugged at his sleeve plaintively. Nandu Ji, he shook off her hand. Don't touch me. How many times do I have to say it? We're done. Watching their interaction, I suddenly found it utterly ridiculous. Chen Nandu, I said, don't you understand yet? The problem isn't Shin Xiaoyu, it's you. It's your contempt, your indulgence, your indifference, no matter who it is. As long as you remain you, the outcome will always be the same. 10. At this point, Shin Xiaoyu couldn't hold back any longer and said with a sarcastic tone, oh, look at Su Wan, so full of herself now. Just because you can dance a little, you think you're a swan. Don't forget, you're just someone hanging from a horizontal bar. Smack! I slapped her across the face. The whole audience froze. Shin Xiaoyu covered her cheek, looking at me in disbelief. You dare hit me, you deserved it, I said coldly. That slap is for the humiliation you caused me that night. If you dare mention that incident in front of me again, I'll make sure you understand what legal consequences mean. I've already saved those photos and videos as evidence. From now on, we're even. Chin Nandu finally came to his senses. Suwon, how could you hit someone? I turned to look at him. What, does that hurt you? When you tied me to the horizontal bar, why didn't you ask yourself how you could treat me like that? Chin Nandu's face turned pale. I've already apologized. If an apology were enough, what would be the point of having police? I sneered. Chin Nandu, do you know what I was thinking that night? I was thinking that if I could turn back time, I would never have met you. 12 years of devotion couldn't stand up to a single pout from Shin Xiaoyu. You don't deserve to be my childhood sweetheart. With that, I pushed past them and left behind me. I heard Shin Xiaoyu's sobs and Chen Nan's calls, but I didn't look back. In that moment, I felt an unprecedented sense of relief. Finally, I no longer had to carry that heavy past. From this moment on, the name Suwon belongs only to me. 11 In my sophomore year, my dance career took a turning point for the better. An internationally renowned choreographer came to give a lecture at my school and happened to see my performance. He was very interested in me and proactively offered to take me on as his student. You have a special quality, he said, a blend of a dancer's grace and a gymnast's strength. This combination is unique and holds great potential. Most importantly, your dancing tells a story and conveys emotion, something many technically perfect dancers lack. So I began studying modern dance under him. Modern dance is freer than classical dance and better at expressing one's inner feelings. I feel like a fish in water. Those repressed emotions, that pent-up anger with no outlet, all of it can be expressed through dance. My teacher often says, dance is a language. You must learn to speak with your body. Your body holds many stories. Tell them. I think I have finally found my own language. During that time, Chen Nandu came to see me a few times. He looked haggard every time. According to Lin Wei, he underperformed at the national competition and didn't even make the top 10. After that, he completely lost his drive and stopped training seriously. Shin Xiaoyu had already found a new backer and looked down on him. Suwon, I was wrong. I was truly wrong. He stood outside the dance studio, looking at me through the glass. Without you, I'm nothing. I've only just realized that all these years, it was you who made me who I am. When you were here, I had motivation and a goal. After you left, I couldn't even find the meaning of training anymore. I stopped moving and looked at him through the glass. Chin Nandu, I said, that's your problem. You've never lived for yourself. When I was around, you lived for me. Now you want to live for regret. When will you ever live for yourself? He was stunned, as if he had never thought about it before. I continued practicing my dance, ignoring him. One time, drunk, he shouted under the dance studio building, Suwon, I was wrong. I shouldn't have treated you that way. I regret it. Please forgive me. Can we start over? I can't live without you. I watched him by the window, my heart utterly still. The security guard came and escorted him away. The next day, I received an apology message from him. This time, I didn't block him, I just muted the notifications. Let him talk. I won't read it anyway. He needed an outlet for his frustration, but I no longer needed his apology. 12 In my junior year of college, I won the gold medal at the National College Student Dance Competition. Standing on the award stage, many memories came back to me. I remembered the first time I practiced gymnastics as a child, when Chen Nandu said we would win gold medals together. I remembered the night I was tied to the horizontal bar, and everyone's mocking laughter. I remembered the hardships after changing my major, every sweat-soaked late night. Turns out, without him, I really could make it. Not only can it be done, it can be done even better. After the awards ceremony, I received many congratulations. One of them was particularly special. Congratulations, Suwon. I was watching you from the audience. You truly look like a phoenix. Lin Wei had come too. I found her, and the two girls hugged each other tightly. Wan, you really made it. Her eyes were red. You know what? After you left, so many people regretted it. Everyone says they should have stood up for you back then, especially seeing how successful you are now. I smiled and shook my head. That's all in the past. What about Chen Nandu? She asked cautiously. Do you still hate him? I thought for a moment. No, I don't. Really, hating someone is too exhausting, and I don't have time for that. I have more important things to do now. Lin Wei hesitated as if wanting to say more, but finally said, actually, he's having a pretty hard time. After quitting the gymnastics team, he completely fell apart. I heard he drinks every day and can't find a job. He came to see me a few days ago, asking how you were doing. I didn't tell him about your competition, afraid he might come and bother you. I nodded, thank you, but actually, it doesn't matter, whether he comes or not. It doesn't affect me anymore. that was the truth to me. Chen Nandu already feels like a distant nightmare. Once you wake up, you won't be afraid anymore. 13. In my senior year of college, I received an invitation from the Beijing Dance Company. It was the opportunity every dancer dreams of, but I turned it down because I received an even better offer. To study in New York for a year. My mentor has connections there and can recommend me to study at Broadway. Suwon, you have what it takes, my mentor said. Go see a bigger world, share your story with the world. Before leaving, I went back to the gymnastics hall. It has since been renovated, and the horizontal bar is new. Standing where I once trained felt like a lifetime ago. Suwon, a familiar voice came from behind. I turned around and saw Chen Nandu. He had lost a lot of weight, with sunken eyes, completely devoid of the vitality he once had. Why you're back? His voice trembled slightly. Just passing by, I said. Thought I'd drop in. I heard you're going to New York. Congratulations. Thanks. Silence. After a long moment, he spoke. Suwon, can I ask you something? I nodded. If that night, I hadn't treated you that way, would we have? No. I interrupted him. Why not? Because it's not about just one night, Chen Nandu. It's about the little bits of contempt you've shown me, piece by piece, over 12 years. That night was just the last straw that broke the camel's back. Sooner or later, we were always going to end up here. His eyes turned red. I'm sorry. Don't say you're sorry. I looked at him. I should be the one thanking you instead. Thank me, he asked in disbelief. Thank you for making me see my situation clearly, in your own way. If it hadn't been for that night, I might have kept deceiving myself for many more years. So, thank you for waking me up, and I wish you find your own path soon. With that, I turned and left. This time, he didn't call after me. 14. Life in New York is exciting and fulfilling. Studying on Broadway, I have been exposed to the highest level of dance art every day. I push my own limits. My mentor was right. This is another world, a world where nothing matters but pure ability. The unique emotional intensity in my dancing has left a deep impression on many. There is pain in your dancing, but more so, rebirth. A renowned choreographer once said, that is rare. A year later, I performed in a dance drama. Although it was just a supporting role, simply being able to stand on a Broadway stage was already a tremendous honor. The performance was a great success. During the curtain call, I spotted a familiar Eastern face in the audience. It was Lin Wei. She had flown all the way to New York just to watch my performance. Wan, you were amazing. She hugged me excitedly and said, you know what, the moment you stepped on stage, I started crying. Think about who you were 2 years ago, and then look at who you are now. You really have risen from the ashes like a phoenix. As we walked along the streets of New York, she told me about how things had been back home. By the way, she hesitated. Chen Nandu, what happened? He attempted suicide. I stopped walking. He didn't die. He was saved. Lin Wei quickly added, he's in psychotherapy right now. His mother says he's been living with guilt, feeling like he ruined your life. The better you do, the more he feels his guilt is unforgivable. I was silent for a long time. He's wrong. What? He didn't ruin my life. On the contrary, he made me who I am. If it weren't for that night, I might have spent my whole life living in his shadow as Suwon. Now, I am myself, so he doesn't have to feel guilty, nor will I forgive, because there is nothing to forgive. That's all in the past. 15. After completing my studies and returning to China, I received an invitation from the National Center for the Performing Arts. They wanted me to serve as the principal dancer of the troupe. This is a position that many dancers dream of. I accepted it. The first time I stepped onto the stage of the National Center for the Performing Arts, I took a deep bow, not to the audience but to myself, to the self that was once humiliated and abandoned. Thank you for not giving up. The performance was a huge success. During the curtain call, I spotted a familiar figure in the corner of the audience. Chen Nandu. He had lost a lot of weight and was unshaven, completely devoid of the spirited confidence he once had. Our eyes met across the room. He stood up and applauded vigorously. Tears glistened in his eyes. I nodded politely, then I turned and left the stage. After the performance, he waited for me at the backstage entrance. Suwon. His voice was hoarse, as if he hadn't spoken properly in a long time. Is something wrong? I asked calmly. I just wanted to congratulate you in person. You've made it. You've become the best dancer. He paused, and I'm nothing now. I looked at him. Chen Nandu, you came to me. This can't be all you wanted to say, right? He smiled bitterly. I know you'll never forgive me. I just wanted to tell you, I've regretted it every single day all these years. I regret what happened that night. I regret not protecting you. I regret choosing Shin Xiaoyu. Enough, I interrupted him. Chen Nandu, your regret means nothing to me. Just like the scars on my wrist, though they've faded, they're always there. We can never go back. 16. He suddenly knelt down in full view of everyone. This once proud young man knelt before me. Suwon, please forgive me. I know I don't deserve it, but please, give me a chance. Let me spend the rest of my life making it up to you. I looked at him, my heart was calm, no hatred, no pity either. Get up, Chen Nandu. Adults must take responsibility for their own choices. You chose Shin Xiaoyu, chose to treat me that way, and I chose to leave. I have chosen a new life. We all must bear our own consequences. He wanted to say something more. The security guard had already arrived. Sir, please leave. Chen Nandu stood up unsteadily. He gave me a deep look, then he turned and walked away. That lonely figure stirred a momentary pang of sympathy, but only for a moment. I turned and walked toward the dressing room. There's another performance tomorrow. I need to get some good rest. As for Chen Nandu, let him stay in the past. 17 later, I heard some things about them. Shin Xiaoyu was expelled from the gymnastics team due to attitude problems during training. Without her backer, her true colors quickly came to light. I heard she tried to get involved with other guys, but no one paid her any attention. In the end, she left the city in disgrace. Chen Nandu was completely finished. After leaving the gymnastics team, he tried his hand at many jobs, but he could never stick with any of them. He drowned his sorrows in alcohol all day long. He turned himself into a shadow of his former self. Lin Wei said that once she saw Chen Nandu lingering outside the school's dance department building. The security guard tried to drive him away. He said, I'm waiting for someone. Who? For someone who will never forgive me. Lin Wei sighed as she finished speaking. To be honest, it's quite pitiful, but thinking about what he did to you back then, it feels like he deserved it. I didn't express an opinion. Everyone must pay for their own actions. His suffering is the consequence he planted for himself. And I have already walked out of the shadows. Now, I have my own career. I have like-minded friends. Occasionally, there are also admirers, but I politely turn them all down, not because I can't forget the past, it's because I enjoy my current state of being. Being alone is just fine. 18 Time flies so fast. In the blink of an eye, another 5 years have passed. I have become one of the most renowned dancers in the country. Not only do I shine on stage, I have also begun to nurture new talent. Looking at those young faces, I often think of myself back in those days. That is why I am especially gentle and particularly patient. I don't want any child to go through the pain I once endured. That day, a student asked me timidly, Teacher, I heard you used to do gymnastics. I nodded, yes. Then why did you switch to dance? I thought for a moment and smiled. Because I found that dance suits me better. Everyone needs to find the path that fits them. Don't live for the expectations of others. Life for yourself. The student nodded, as if half understanding. After class, my assistant told me someone wanted to see me, an old acquaintance, they said. I frowned. Over the years, Chen Nandu would come find me from time to time. Every time, he looked so pitiful. I have already explicitly refused many times. Why won't he just give up? Let him go. I don't want to see him, the assistant said hesitantly. But he said he's sick, very seriously. He said this might be the last time we meet. I was silent for a moment. In the end, I softened. Let him in. 19 The Chen Nandu who entered gave me a great shock. He was nothing but skin and bones. His face was sallow, and he could barely stand. Advanced cirrhosis of the liver, he said with a bitter smile. The doctor says I have 6 months at most. All those years of drinking did this. I looked at him, not knowing what to say. He sat down and caught his breath. Suwon, I'm not here to ask for your forgiveness. I know I don't deserve it. I just wanted to see you one more time before I die. I wanted to tell you, all these years, I've been watching your performances. I haven't missed a single one. He took a notebook out of his bag. It was densely packed with newspaper clippings. All of them were reports about me. You made it. You became the most dazzling dancer. And I destroyed myself. He gave a bitter smile. I guess this is my retribution. I remained silent. He continued, Suwon, do you know, that night, after everything, there hasn't been a single day I didn't regret it. Every time I close my eyes, I see you hanging from that horizontal bar. I see the despair and hatred in your eyes. I tried numbing myself, tried to forget, but I can't forget. That image is like a brand, etched into my mind. His voice grew weaker and weaker. I destroyed 15 years of our relationship, ruined the most precious thing, and now, I will finally pay the price for it. 20 Looking at this emaciated person before me, my heart is filled with mixed emotions. The once spirited and vigorous youth has now ended up like this. Pitiful, pitiful. Deserved, also deserved. Chen Nandu, I finally spoke. What do you want to hear? For me to say that I forgive you? He shook his head. No, I don't deserve forgiveness. I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you. Thank you for not letting me destroy you in the end. Thank you for becoming who you are now. He struggled to his feet. He bowed deeply. I'm sorry, Suwon. I wish you eternal happiness. After saying He staggered out. I watched his back. Suddenly, I said, Chen Nandu. He stopped but did not turn around. Take care. His shoulders trembled, then he continued walking forward until he disappeared beyond the door. 21 3 months later I received the news of Chen Nandu's death. Lin Wei told me. She passed away very peacefully, she said. She was still saying your name right before the end. I was silent for a long time. Suwan, will you go to the funeral? I thought for a moment. No, the dead are gone, but the living carry on. His life has already ended. Mine has only just begun. That's the end of the first story. I hope you enjoyed it. The next stories will be even more exciting, so let's keep reading together. In the third year of my secret marriage to Jiang Yi, the whole internet was shipping him with a rising young actress. On camera, he was gentle and devoted, but at home, he wouldn't even touch my hand. He said he had mysophobia and couldn't stand things that had been touched by others because the night before our wedding, when I went to deliver the script he'd left behind, a few sightseeing fans cornered me in an alley and tore at my clothes. Although nothing actually happened, he felt I was no longer perfect until one day, I saw that so-called close friend of his, the young actress, wearing the very necklace I had lost. He smiled as he wiped a dab of cream from the corner of her lips. What mysophobia was there in his eyes then? It turned out his mysophobia was only directed at those I didn't love. I tossed the pregnancy test into the trash and sent a WeChat message to the childhood friend who had always quietly watched over me. I'm divorced. A month later, at the awards ceremony, Jiang Yi stormed backstage like a madman. He watched me being held protectively in my childhood friend's arms and asked, trembling, why? Stroking my growing belly, I smiled brightly and said, because I find you disgusting too. On TV, Jiang Yi was wiping cream from the corner of Lin Wan's mouth. His movements were gentle, and the look in his eyes was almost syrupy. The host joked, Movie King Jiang, aren't you a germaphobe? This is the one Lin Wan has eaten from. Jiang Yi smiled indulgently, his voice echoing through the empty living room via the surround sound. It depends on the person. The whole audience screamed, and the barrage of comments flooded the screen with I'm dying from the sweetness. I sat on the sofa and looked down at my hands. 10 minutes earlier, I had just finished peeling an apple and handed it to him. He frowned and took half a step back, the disgust in his eyes almost tangible. Shen Tingxia, how many times do I have to tell you? Don't touch my food, your hands are dirty. The door lock clicked. Jiang Yi pushed the door open and walked in, bringing a chill with him. He had just finished recording a show and was still wearing the custom-made suit from TV. I stood up instinctively, wanting to help him hang up his coat before my hand could even touch the hem of his clothes. He flinched as if burned and swiftly moved aside. Don't touch me. His voice was cold enough to freeze. My hand froze in midair, fingertips slightly curled. Jiang Yi, today is our third wedding anniversary. He paused for a moment while changing his shoes, then casually loosened his tie and tossed it into the laundry basket. So what? He brushed past me and headed straight for the bathroom. I'm tired. I don't have time to play these childish games with you, and don't wear this color dress again. It's ugly. The bathroom door slammed shut with a bang. The sound of water began to run. I looked down at the dress I was wearing. It was a color he had complimented 3 years ago. Back then, he said, Xia Xia, you look like an angel in white. Now, I'm just a speck of dust in his eyes, a kind of dust called mysophobia. This quirk came out of nowhere the night before the wedding. I took a shortcut to the set to deliver the script he had left behind in an alley. I was cornered by a few sightseeing fans. They tore at my clothes, cursing that I didn't deserve Jiang Yi. Although the police arrived in time, aside from my torn clothes and a few scratches, I wasn't seriously harmed. But when Jiang Yi showed up at the police station, the way he looked at me had changed. It wasn't concern, it was scrutiny, like looking at a piece of cake that had landed on a fly. After that, he never touched me again. Separate bedrooms, separate dishes, and my clothes couldn't even go in the same washing machine as his. He said it gave him psychological scars. He couldn't stand anything that had been touched by someone else. I fell for it. I spent 3 years feeling guilty, tiptoeing around him and tending to his every need. I thought that as long as I stayed pure and obedient enough, I could eventually melt that stone. Until today, I saw the necklace around Lin Wan's neck. It's mine. I accidentally lost it last month and searched the whole house but couldn't find it. It was the only gift Jiang Yi ever gave me. Even though it was just a freebie from a brand. Now, it gleamed brilliantly around Lin Wan's fair neck. The TV screen cut to a replay. Lin Wan touched the necklace coyly. This was a gift from someone important. I hope it brings good luck. Jiang Yi smiled gently beside her. So, his mysophobia was only for those I don't love, or rather, only for me. The sound of water in the bathroom stopped. Jiang Yi came out wrapped in a bathrobe, walked straight to the study without even glancing at me. I'm going to sleep in the study, don't bother me. As he walked past me, The faint scent of his cologne stung my nose. It wasn't the woody fragrance he usually wore, it was Lin Wan's favorite cloying, sweet fruity floral scent. My stomach churned violently, not from disgust, but from a physical reaction. I rushed into the bathroom and dry heaved over the toilet, clutching the pregnancy test stick I had just used. 2 red lines, vividly red, almost blinding too. The sound of retching was especially clear in the silent night. I thought Jiang Yi would at least ask, even if it was through the door, even if his tone was one of disgust, but no, it was terrifyingly quiet outside, except for the sound of him closing the study door locked from the outside, treating me like a thief. I sat on the cold tile floor, staring at the pregnancy test in my hand. It was from 2 months ago, the time he was drunk. That day, he had just won the Best Actor award, and for the first time in a long while, he came back to the master bedroom. He mistook me for Lin Wan, whispering Wan Wan under his breath, his movements rough and urgent. I didn't push him away. I thought humbly, even if just as a stand-in, at least in this moment, he belonged to me. Afterwards, when he sobered up, his face looked as awful as if he had swallowed a fly. He stormed into the bathroom and showered for an hour, scrubbing his skin until it was red and raw. When he came out, he pointed at me, his eyes dark and menacing. Shen Tingxia, you make me sick. Taking advantage of someone in a vulnerable state, is that your idea of a move? After that day, he didn't come home for a month. I touched my flat belly. A small life is growing inside me. It is his flesh and blood. If I tell him, will he be happy, or will he think this child is also tainted? I stand up and walk to the mirror. The woman in the mirror has a pale face, dark circles under her eyes, and is gaunt beyond recognition. Where is the shadow of the radiant and confident eldest daughter of the Shen family from 3 years ago? For Jiang Yi, I broke with my family, hid my identity, and willingly became the invisible woman behind him. I thought this was a sacrifice for love. Now it seems like nothing but a joke. My phone buzzed. It was a push notification from Weibo. Lin Wan posted an update. The photo showed a man's hand peeling shrimp for her. The hand was long and strong, with a small black mole at the base of the thumb. It was Jiang Ye's hand. Caption: someone with mysophobia willing to peel shrimp for you. This is probably what favoritism looks like. The comment section was flooded with blessings. I'm shipping it. Real-life couples are the best. Movie King Jong's mysophobia really depends on the person. This is love. When will that secretly married ordinary wife get lost? She's taking up space and doing nothing. I stared at the screen, and my tears suddenly dried up. A corner of my heart collapsed with a roar. So, the so-called mysophobia was just an excuse for not loving. He didn't mind the cream Lin Wan had eaten off, nor did he mind the greasiness of peeling shrimp. He only minded me. He minded me, the one who nearly got assaulted just to deliver a script to him. He minded me, the one who, for his sake, gave up her career to cook and clean, only to turn into a faded drudge. I took a deep breath and opened the bathroom trash can. I let go. The pregnancy test fell inside, together with my 3 years of humble love. I threw it all into the garbage heap. I took out my phone and scrolled through to a long-buried number. The note read, Shadow. It was Lu Yan, my childhood friend, and the head of the Lu family, feared by everyone in Beijing's elite circle. 3 years ago, I turned down his proposal for Jiang Yi, even cutting off all ties with him. His eyes were red as he asked me, Shen Tingxia, you'll regret this. I said, never. Now, my face stings. My fingertip hovered over the screen for a long time. Finally, I typed out 4 words, I'm divorced, sent. In less than 3 seconds, my phone exploded with a call. I picked up, and on the other end came a man's voice, suppressing anger, yet laced with a slight tremor. Where are you? Home. 10 minutes. Hanging up the phone, I began to pack my things. There wasn't really much to pack in this house. The traces of me were pitifully few. A few pieces of clothing, some books, and the drawing board I had hidden deep in the cabinet. I stuffed them all into a small suitcase just as I had arrived, clean and without a trace, not a cloud left behind. 3. I dragged my suitcase out of the bedroom. As I passed the study, the door opened. Jiang Yi, holding a water glass, saw the suitcase in my hand and immediately furrowed his brow. What the hell are you doing in the middle of the night? His eyes were full of impatience. In his mind, this was surely just another act I was putting on for attention. After all, I had threatened to run away from home before, but he had never once come looking for me. In the end, I was the one who came back with my tail between my legs. Move. My tone was calm, and I didn't even look at him. Jiang Yi paused for a moment, as if he hadn't expected me to react this way. Then, he gave a cold laugh, leaning against the doorframe with a lazy yet arrogant posture. Shen Tingxia, aren't you tired of playing hard to get? You can leave, but don't come back. Your card's been cut off. Leave the car keys. Let's see where you can go. He was so sure that I couldn't live without him because for His sake, I had long turned everyone against me. I said nothing, just took the car keys and the supplementary credit card he had given me out of my bag. With a snap I threw them onto the coffee table. As you wish. After saying that, I picked up my suitcase and headed for the door. Jiang Ye's expression finally changed. He strode over and grabbed my wrist firmly. Xia, are you for real? His grip was strong. Squeezing until it hurt, I looked down at his hand. The man who claimed to have mysophobia, who said he'd need to disinfect after touching me, was now holding me tightly. Let go. I looked at him coldly. Aren't you a germaphobe? I'm dirty. Jiang Yi flinched as if stung, and abruptly let go. A flicker of embarrassment crossed his face, quickly replaced by anger. Fine, you've got guts. Once you step out that door, even if you beg me on your knees, I won't spare you a glance. He pulled a wad of cash from his wallet and hurled it at me. Red bills fluttered through the air like a mocking rain. Take it for a hotel. Don't say Jiang Yi mistreated his ex-wife. When you've calmed down, sign the divorce papers and leave with nothing. He thought I was just throwing a tantrum. He thought I was still that pathetic creature who couldn't live without him. A roar came from outside the door. It was the distinctive roar of a sports car engine. Immediately after, blinding headlights pierced through the floor-to-ceiling window, illuminating the entire living room. Jiang Yi instinctively shielded his eyes. Who has such poor manners? The main door was kicked open. Lu Yan, wearing a black trench coat, stood silhouetted in the doorway against the light. Behind him followed 2 rows of bodyguards in black. His aura was fully unleashed. Like a wrathful deity. Jiang Yi froze. Although he worked in the entertainment industry, he recognized this crown prince of the Beijing circle. Lu, President Lu. Jiang Yi put away his earlier arrogance, replacing it with a polite smile. What brings you here? Did you get the wrong door? Lu Yan didn't even spare him a glance. He walked straight up to me, his gaze falling on the suitcase at my feet, then sweeping over the banknotes scattered on the floor. Finally, it settled on my pale face. The heartache in his eyes was almost overflowing. Xia, his voice was hoarse. I've come to take you home. Jiang Ye's smile froze on his face. He looked at me, then at Lu Yan, his expression turning strange. Xia, so this is your next target. No wonder you're leaving. You already found yourself a sugar daddy. President Lu, your taste is really something. Picking up someone else's worn-out leftovers. Slap. A resounding slap cut off his stream of vulgarities. It wasn't me who hit him, it was Lu Yan. He didn't even use his bare hand. He struck Jiang Yi hard across the face with the leather glove he was holding. Jiang Yi staggered back several steps from the blow, a trickle of blood seeping from the corner of his mouth. Lu Yan, how dare you hit me? I'm a public figure. Lu Yan unhurriedly removed his glove and tossed it into a nearby trash bin as if it had been contaminated by something filthy. Watch your mouth. Lu Yan pulled me gently but firmly into his embrace, his gaze icy as he looked at Jiang Yi. She is the one I have cherished and protected in my heart for 20 years. You mistook a pearl for a fish eye. That's your blindness. From today onward, she has nothing to do with you. After speaking, he picked up my suitcase with one hand and took my hand with the other. Let's go. I let him lead me, walking out of the cage that had confined me for 3 years. Behind me, Jiang Ye's furious roar echoed. Xia, don't you dare regret leaving. For I settled into Lu Yan's Maybach, shutting out the biting cold wind outside. The car's heater was on full blast, playing my favorite light music. Lu Yan took out a warm towel and gently wiped my hands one finger at a time, with utmost tenderness. Still cold. I shook my head, my eyes stinging. Lu Yan, I have mysophobia. I smiled self-deprecatingly. Jiang Yi said I was dirty. Lu Yan's hand paused. He looked up, and in those eyes that were always deep and inscrutable, there was now only endless tenderness and resolve. He grabbed my hand and kissed it by his lips. Xia, you are the purest girl in this world. What's dirty is the human heart. The tears finally couldn't be held back any longer and came flooding out. 3 years. For 3 years, I've listened to your dirty and stay away from me. I had almost forgotten what it feels like to be cherished. The car drove into the Lu family estate. The butler and servants were already waiting at the entrance, calling out in unison, "Welcome home, young miss," not Mrs. Lu, but young Miss. Lu Yan gave me the greatest respect. The room he prepared for me was an exact replica of my bedroom before marriage. Even the placement of the stuffed animals by the bedside was exactly the same. Get some rest early. Lu Yan stood at the doorway, not crossing the threshold. I'll take you somewhere tomorrow, Lu Yan, I called out to him. Thank you. His back stiffened for a moment, then he turned around and smiled helplessly. With me, you never have to say thank you. Also, that pregnancy test, my heart tightened. Did he see it? I had someone take care of it. No traces will be left. He looked at me, his expression complicated. The baby, do you want to keep it? I instinctively covered my lower abdomen. I don't know. It's okay. Lu Yan walked over and gently patted my head. Whatever decision you make, I'll support you. If it's mine, I'll raise it. If it's not, I'll still raise it as my own. I was stunned. It's not yours. I know. Lu Yan cut me off, a flicker of ruthlessness flashing in his eyes. But from now on, it belongs only to you. That man isn't worthy. Meanwhile, at Jiang Ye's villa, he looked at the empty wardrobe, feeling inexplicably uneasy. Shen Tingxia had made a fuss before, but she had never taken everything with her this time. Even those cheap t-shirts were gone. Stop pretending. He kicked the bedpost. When you run out of money in a few days, you'll have no choice but to come crawling back. He took out his phone and sent Lin Wan a WeChat message. Are you asleep? I'll pick you up tomorrow. Lin Wan replied instantly. Not yet. I miss you. That old hag isn't bothering you, is she? Jiang Yi replied with a cold laugh. She's gone. Good riddance. Lin Wan. Great. We can finally be together openly. Jiang Yi stared at the screen, but he didn't feel the relief he had imagined. He wanted a drink of water and habitually called out, Shen Tingxia, get me some water. There was no response, only an empty echo remained. Frustrated, he threw his phone onto the bed. That sense of unease grew stronger and stronger. 5. The next day, Lu Yan took me to the hospital. Comprehensive VIP prenatal checkup package. The doctor looked at the report, frowned, and said, the pregnant woman is malnourished. Her emotions are fluctuating too much, and there are signs of a threatened miscarriage. She must rest completely. Lu Yan's face darkened like the bottom of a pot. From today onwards, your only tasks are to eat and sleep, he commanded domineeringly. As for everything else, leave it to me. Everything else, for example, the divorce. Lu Yan handed me a document. This is the divorce agreement drafted by the best legal team. Also, there's a gift. I opened another folder. Inside were a stack of photos and video screenshots. All of them were of Jiang Yi and Lin Wan. There were even records of them checking into a hotel room at the film crew's accommodation. The timeline spanned from the very first year of our marriage, so the so-called obsession with cleanliness was just to remain chaste for Lin Wan. Looking at those photos, I felt not a single ripple of emotion in my heart. I only felt disgust. Send it out, Lu Yan asked. No. I closed the folder, a cold sneer curling at the corner of my mouth. Sending it now would be letting them off too easy. I want them to climb higher, so they can fall harder. Next month is the Golden Statue Awards ceremony. Jiang Yi is the front-runner to win Best Actor again. Lu Yan understood my meaning. A smile tugged at his lips, his eyes full of admiration. All right, I'll follow your lead. For the next month, I seemed to vanish from the face of the earth. Jiang Yi called me several times, and I blocked every single one. He cursed at me on WeChat. Shen Tingxia, know your limits. Don't think hiding from me will get you a share of the assets. Come back and sign the papers quickly, and I might still leave you some living expenses. Lin Wan is pregnant. I need to give her a proper status. Seeing the last message, I laughed. Lin Wan is pregnant. Then what does my child count for? Oh, right. In Jiang Ye's eyes, my child is dirty. Lin Wan's child is the crown prince. I gently stroked my gradually swelling belly and whispered, baby, look, your father is dead. For the past month, the entire internet has been shipping the Yiwan CP. They appeared on variety shows together and shot commercials together. Jiang Ye's persona was being hyped up like crazy. A deeply affectionate, devoted, and fastidious film emperor. Lin Wan, on the other hand, had the look of a spoiled and pampered little wife. On the show, they talked at length about their secrets to keeping love fresh. Jiang Yi said, to love someone is to want to give them the best of everything in the world. I don't like others touching my things, but I'm willing to give her everything I have. The host asked, what about the previous rumors of a secret marriage? Jiang Yi replied without changing his expression, that's a rumor. I was single until I met Wan Wan. In front of the screen, I ate the grapes Lu Yan had peeled for me and laughed out loud. Single, then what am I? A ghost? Lu Yan wiped the corner of my mouth. Stop looking. It's an eyesore. Lu Yan, I turned to look at him. Help me take on a job. What? A presenter for the Golden Statue Awards. Lu Yan raised an eyebrow. You want to? I want to personally hand him the trophy, then give him a big gift. 6. 3 days before the awards ceremony, Jiang Yi finally panicked because he received a court summons filing for divorce. The reason? Bigamy, of course. This was just a pretext to force him to show up. He frantically called me, using different numbers. Finally, the call reached Lu Yan. Lu Yan put it on speakerphone. President Lu, is Shen Tingxia with you? Let her answer the phone. Jiang Ye's voice was furious. What does she want? To ruin me. Lu Yan took a calm sip of tea. Actor Jiang, those who do evil will be destroyed by evil. Let her answer the phone. I have something to say to her. I took the phone, my voice calm. Jiang Yi, There was a pause on the other end, followed by a roar. Shintingxia, are you insane, suing me? Do you have any idea how much this will affect me? Withdraw the lawsuit, withdraw it immediately. I'll give you however much money you want, 10 million, 50 million, or that villa. I let out a light laugh. Jiang Yi, do you really think I need money? Then what do you want? I want you to be utterly ruined. Beep. I hung up the phone when Jiang Yi called again. Lu Yan turned his phone off directly that night. Jiang Yi couldn't sleep looking at Lin Wan beside him. He felt annoyed for the first time. Lin Wan was still dreaming of becoming a film queen. Yi Ge, after you win the Best Actor award, let's officially announce our marriage. Okay, Jiang Yi gave a perfunctory response. He had a vague feeling that Shintingxia was different this time she came back. That timid woman seemed to have turned into a sharp blade, the sword hanging over his head. The day of the awards ceremony, the red carpet was dazzling with stars. Jiang Yi made the grand finale entrance, escorting Lin Wan. The couple wore matching haute couture outfits, lavishly showing off their affection for the cameras. A reporter asked, Mr. Jiang, we hear you have good news coming soon. Jiang Yi looked at Lin Wan with a smile. Soon, Lin Wan's face was full of happiness. The barrage is filled with, get married on the spot. You two are such a perfect match. Backstage, I'm sitting in my private lounge, with the makeup artist applying my makeup. Lu Yan stands to the side, looking at my reflection in the mirror, his eyes filled with admiration. I'm wearing a red deep V dress, fiery red lips, commanding full presence at 4 months pregnant, due to the dress's design. And my naturally slim figure. It's not very noticeable, but upon closer look, a slight bulge in the lower abdomen can still be seen. Are you ready? Lu Yan asked. I stood up, stepping into my 10-centimeter high heels like a queen about to go into battle. Lu Yan, thank you for indulging my madness with me. Lu Yan walked over and straightened the hem of my dress for me. Not indulging your madness. Accompanying you, to reclaim the glory that is rightfully yours. 7. The ceremony begins. I am seated in the first row of the guest section. The lights are dim, and no one notices me. Jiang Yi is sitting in the second row, chatting and laughing softly with Lin Wan until the host announces, next, let's welcome our special guest to present the Best Actor award. On the big screen, my name appears, renowned screenwriter, Summer. The entire room erupted in an uproar. Summer has been the most mysterious award-winning screenwriter of the past 2 years, with no one having seen their true face. Jiang Yi was also stunned. He always thought I was a stay-at-home wife, a good-for-nothing. Little did he know, I used that old computer to write 2 hit screenplays. They were precisely the original works for his 2 award-winning projects. The spotlight fell on me. I slowly stood up, turned around, and smiled faintly in Jiang Ye's direction. Jiang Ye's pupils instantly dilated. Shock, bewilderment, fear, a mix of emotions played across his face. Lin Wan's mouth fell open even wider as she pointed at me. How is it you? I walked onto the stage. Each step was taken with utmost steadiness. Taking the envelope, I stood before the microphone and scanned the entire room. Finally, my gaze settled on Jiang Yi. Hello everyone, I'm Summer, also known as Shintingxia. The audience buzzed with whispers. Shintingxia, isn't that Jiang Ye's? Shoo, don't say that. I opened the envelope and glanced at the name. It was indeed him. With the power of capital and my script, his award was a foregone conclusion. The winner of this year's Best Actor is, I paused, smiling meaningfully, Jiang Yi. Thunderous applause erupted. Jiang Yi stood up stiffly, straightened his suit, and walked onto the stage. He didn't dare to look me in the eye. His hand trembled as he accepted the trophy. Thank you. He tried to take the microphone to give his acceptance speech, yet I did not let go. Congratulations, Professor Jiang. I leaned close to the microphone, my voice crisp and clear. However, before delivering my speech, I have a gift for you. Jiang Ye's face turned deathly pale. Xia, don't make a scene, look at the big screen. I pointed behind me. 8. The big screen lit up, not his award-winning montage. It's a video. In the video, it's at my home. No, the home that once was. Jiang Yi is pinning Lin Wan down on the sofa. The timestamp shows it was 2 years ago. At that time, I was at the hospital taking care of my sick mother-in-law. The dialogue in the video is clearly audible. Lin Wan. Brother Yi, what will you do when your wife comes back? Jiang Yi, don't mention that old hag, it's a mood killer, she has OCD. I'm the one who thinks she's dirty. Lin Wan, then why are you still with her? Jiang Yi, she's easy to fool, and she's a free nanny who can also help me write scripts, why not use her? The entire venue fell dead silent. The fans who were just cheering moments ago now looked as if they had been choked. The trophy in Jiang Ye's hand clattered to the floor, shattering into pieces just like his public persona. Before anyone could react, the video switched. It was the surveillance footage from that alley. The image quality was blurry, but it was clear enough to see before tearing at my clothes. those sightseeing fans took off their masks. One of them gave an okay hand gesture to the camera. That was Lin Wan's assistant, and Jiang Ye's car was parked right at the entrance of the alley. He sat in the car, watching everything unfold with a cold gaze. He didn't get out of the car until I ran out with my clothes in disarray, putting on an angry act. It turned out that the filthy incident that had filled me with guilt for 3 years was a scheme they had orchestrated together to PUA me, to make me feel unworthy of him, so that I would willingly become his slave. Oh my God, someone in the audience screamed out, "Scumbag, beast." Curses erupted from all sides. Lin Wan had long since collapsed on the floor, her face drained of all color. Jiang Yi pointed a trembling finger at me. You set me up." I looked at him coldly. "You set me up first, Jiang Yi. Where's your cleanliness obsession now?" I took a step closer. "You think I'm dirty? The truly filthy one is you. The festering wound in your heart stinks worse than a sewer." 9. The live stream had already crashed. The trending topics exploded. Hashtag Jiangye Linwan set up hashtag Jiangye the real scumbag hashtag Shintingxia truly unfortunate hashtag Jiangye looked at the out of control scene and suddenly rushed over like a madman, trying to grab the microphone. "Turn it off. Turn off the video. This is fake. It's synthesized." Several security guards rushed up and restrained him. He struggled in a sorry state, his hair disheveled and his tie askew. There wasn't a trace of the movie star left in him. He looked up at me, his eyes rimmed red. "Shintingxia, you've ruined me. Haven't I been good to you? Why are you so cruel?" "Been good to me?" I laughed, tears streaming from my eyes. "Was it good to make me live like a widow for 3 years? Was it good to use me as your unpaid ghostwriter? Was it good to scheme to have people humiliate me?" I took a deep breath and gently stroked my swollen belly. At that moment, everyone saw my stomach. Jiang Yi saw it too. He froze, his gaze fixed intently on my belly. You're pregnant." It was as if he had grabbed onto a final lifeline. "It's my child, right? Xia. For the child's sake, don't touch me." I took a step back, my eyes filled with utter disgust. Lu Yan strode onto the stage, shielding me. In his embrace he looked down at Jiang Yi as if he were an insect. Seeing our intimate posture, Jiang Yi broke down. "Why, Shintingxia, tell me why? It was you who fell in love with me first. You said you would love me forever." Leaning against Lu Yan's chest, I felt the warmth of his embrace. Then, facing Jiang Yi, I uttered the words I had held back for 3 months. "Because I also find you disgusting." 10. The awards ceremony turned into a farce. Jiang Yi and Lin Wan were taken away by the police for suspected provocation of trouble and instigation of crime. The attack in the alley, although they may not receive heavy sentences, their acting careers are completely over. Massive breach of contract penalties, boycotts across the internet. They will face endless lawsuits and debts. 1 month later, I'm basking in the sun in the Lu family's garden. Lu Yan is peeling an apple for me. His technique is very skillful. The peel comes off in one long, unbroken strand. "Eat it." He hands it to me, his gaze gentle. I take a bite. "It's very sweet." "Jiang Yi wants to see you," Lu Yan says suddenly. "I won't see him." I didn't hesitate. "He was in the detention center, calling your name over and over, saying he was wrong." Lu Yan paused. "He said he actually fell in love with you a long time ago." But his eyes were clouded by Lin Wan. "That obsession with cleanliness was because he felt inferior, thinking he wasn't good enough for you, so he pushed you away in that manner." I laughed when I heard it. He actually dares to spout such nonsense. Belated affection is cheaper than grass. Besides, this isn't even genuine affection. It's just a stopgap measure after hitting rock bottom. If he were still the aloof film emperor, would he even glance at me? No, he would only continue to live happily and carefree with Lin Wan, stepping on my dignity to climb higher. "By the way, Lin Wan had a miscarriage," Lu Yan said calmly. "It was a fake pregnancy to gain status from the start. That test report was bought." Once she was arrested and scared, the truth came out. I shook my head. Evil people will face their own retribution. 11. The days passed one by one. My belly grew bigger and bigger. Lu Yan turned down all his work to focus on accompanying me through the pregnancy. The outside world was speculating about who the child's father was. Some said it was Jiang Ye's, others said it was Lu Yan's. Lu Yan never explained. He just posted a photo on Weibo, a big hand holding a small hand. Caption: "My baby." It refers to both me and the child. Actually, about that child, there's a secret I haven't even told Lu Yan. That day at the hospital, the doctor said I had a threatened miscarriage. Actually, there's another reason. That embryo wasn't developing well. The doctor recommended terminating the pregnancy. I had the surgery the day after the award ceremony. This belly now is actually fake. It's a silicone prosthetic belly I specifically wore to get revenge on Jiang Yi. I wanted him to watch his own child call Someone else, daddy. I wanted him to regret it for the rest of his life, but I never expected that Lu Yan already knew. That night, I took off the prosthetic belly and was getting ready for bed. Lu Yan pushed the door open and entered. He looked at my flat stomach, showing no surprise, only heartache. Tired, he walked over and hugged me. It must be exhausting, acting with such a heavy burden. I was stunned. You know, silly. Lu Yan kissed my forehead. I know everything about you. Then why? Because you wanted to act. I played along with you. If you wanted him to hurt, I handed you the knife. My eyes welled up with tears as I threw myself into his arms. It turns out, there really are people in this world who are willing to unconditionally tolerate your mischief and darkness. 12. The day Jiang Yi was released from prison, it was raining. He had grown old and haggard, with a face full of stubble. He came to the gate of the Lu family estate, wanting to see me. The security guard stopped him. He knelt in the rain, shouting, "Shush ya. I know I was wrong. Let me see the child. That's my child." Lu Yan held an umbrella and led me out. I was wearing a white dress, still looking like an angel, but this time, I had a guardian. Seeing me, Jiang Ye's eyes lit up. "Shush ya." His gaze fell on my flat stomach, and he froze. The child, was it born, nestled beside Lu Yan. I looked at him coldly. "Jiang Yi, you're truly pathetic. There was never any child. That child died the day you said I was disgusting. As for what you saw later," I smiled. "That was the final act prepared just for you." Jiang Yi felt as if struck by lightning. He collapsed into the muddy water, his eyes vacant. "It's all fake, all of it.